Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We're here to bring you some live coverage. Before I do that, let me just check something here. Oh, I guess Trump is speaking before, as he's returning this. I think he's about to leave. I think he's about to depart from New Jersey. But I don't have the rights to that video. So I'll let you know if he says anything. He's speaking like in front of a helicopter now. I just saw that, but I don't have the rights to that video. Okay, anyways, so we're here to bring you an update on this story, which actually, I mean, this could be a big story in the in the upcoming election in 2026 in the United States. So Texas House of Representatives Democrats from the Texas House have fled Texas to prevent Republicans in the Texas House from going forward with a redistricting plan, which would change the districts in Texas, which would result in a district map, which would probably give, it's predicted it would give Texas 5 more seats in the U.S. House. And this would be a mid-decade redistricting. Normally, the states would redistrict based on the census every 10 years. But this was a redistricting requested by President Trump, a mid-decade redistricting. So we have Texas House Republicans have fled the state today to prevent a vote, an immediate vote on this in Texas. And also, the Texas Attorney General has threatened to arrest them. And there are other states that have said, like, for example, California has been suggesting that if Texas goes through with it, that California might try to redistrict their congressional districts. So there might be redistricting fights in a number of states before the 2026 midterm election. So we want to bring you some live coverage of this. You know, I think there's supposed to be a press conference from the Texas Democrats at 8, well, I think it's 7:15 their time. Who knows when it'll actually happen. I'm hoping I have that I can bring you. I don't know that I will, but I think there's a decent chance I will. So we might have a press conference to show you in about 15 minutes from the Texas Democrats. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that. If the Republicans have one in response, I'll show you that too. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's talk about this. Again, there might be a press conference coming up in about 13 minutes from the Texas Democrats. So I'm going to keep an eye out from that. And we're going to take some of your comments on the air and bring you up to date on this story. Let me real quick just do something really quick. Hang on 1 second here. Let me just make a quick adjustment here. Do something real quick. You know, I want to do this. Let's see here. No. Ah, I did it. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. Hey, thanks to our moderators who are here. I really appreciate our moderators being here. We have right now moderating. Sabrina is over there on YouTube. Thank you, Sabrina. We have, hang on a moment here. DeBears, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai 3, McBridges, and Surly Dev on Twitch. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha moderates for us on X. And also, we have Margaret Riley and is moderating. Kay Lowry Body on Facebook. Thank you. And thanks also to Susan Priest Buchner for the Facebook stars. Thank you. For the Facebook. Oops, so I'm hearing two of myself. All right, so let me, I'm on the lookout for this press conference, which we might have shortly. So we're talking about the U.S. House of Representatives, how many seats each party will hold. It would be bad for Trump if Democrats controlled the U.S. House of Representatives, if they won control of it in 2016. Republicans have a narrow majority there now. But if Democrats take control of it, then they can block President Trump's legislative wishes, among other things. So it's a big deal who controls the U.S. House, and it's the election is very well might be very close. Now, each House member in the U.S. House represents a certain district, and it's up to the states to choose the districts. So what the Texas Republican Party is saying they're going to do on the state level is they're going to change the districts so that even though it's the same voters, I think it's right now, let me just show you this. Look, this is from I'll show you a diagram from this Washington Post article. Texas map would add 5 safe Republican seats, what it means for the midterms. So if I show you this, hold on, let me pull it up here. Pull it up on the screen. Here, there you go. So the idea is that the Texas legislature is planning on changing the districts so that even though the voters are the same, or basically the same, whereas currently, of the 38 districts, 25 of them were won by Republicans and 13 by Democrats. You can see here it says potential control of proposed districts based on 2024 presidential margin. If everybody votes the same or voted the same, you would have 30 of the seats won by Republicans rather than 25. So the Republicans, the Texas legislature controlled by Republicans, is about to have a special section where they change the districts. And the House Democrats are trying to prevent them from doing this in Texas. So they have left the state because you have to have a quorum in the Texas House. You have to have a certain number of members who are there, present, before any business can be conducted. And if all the Democrats, or if a lot of the Democrats aren't around, well, then there's not enough people there to actually do this, at least for the time being. Doesn't mean they can prevent it happening. I mean, from what I understand, in another month, 30 days, Governor Abbott could call another special session. So, but for the moment, it would prevent Republicans from carrying out this redistricting plan. Okay, so let me give you a little summary of what's going on here. I mean, that was a summary, but let me show you another summary. Texas Democrats leave the state to block vote on redrawn House map backed by Trump. They went to Illinois, I believe. And we might get a press conference from them shortly. I have to keep an eye on this. They said they were going to do a press conference, the Texas Democrats, at 7:15. Actually, I'm guessing they meant Texas time. Isn't Chicago Central Time too? Yes. So let me just, give me 2 seconds here because I need to just make sure. I'm going to keep an eye out to see if they've announced anything about this press conference. They said they were doing one at 7:15 Central Time, but I haven't seen it posted anywhere. Let's see here. Our viewer Sterling Lighthouse says, always shenanigans. Red-Blooded says $500 a day fine per leaving state to prevent quorum. I believe that's correct, Red-Blooded. I'll show you some details on this. Also, our viewer One of our viewers said, Shelly C has said, if Texas does this, California should follow suit, all's equal. Governor Newsom of California said they might do that. Hey, by the way, a quick thanks to Lucia Horizo. Yes, as Lucia says, it's not the Texas citizens fleeing, it's the House members who don't want to have a quorum there. Right. I know the headline, this says Texas House Democrats here. So I can't. This says Texas Democrats flee state, but Democrats is short for Texas House Democrats. Thanks Lucia, thanks Sarah, Nick Robinson, and Wicked Code. Thanks Wicked Code for the gift memberships. Thanks Johnny58 on Twitch, Mitchell Pilot, Jay Sands. Thank you, and thank you to quick thanks I owe Taterbong on Twitch. Thanks for your support, Warlord Wolf, who says to Illinois we run. Edu Makashun, thank you on Twitch as well. Drunk Can Cook, thanks for subscribing. Who says Democrats aren't welcome in Texas? That's what Drunk Can Cook says. Nick Knack, thank you, 613. Who says, we don't need another dictatorship in the U.S. Do you blame them for running? CC143, thanks on Twitch. Flumpingtons, Mick Bridges, thanks for subscribing. Warlord Gord, thank you. All right. Let's get you some more on this. But again, in about 5 minutes, there might be a press conference. So I want to make sure I don't know that I'll have access to the press conference, but I think I might. But I'm not seeing it anywhere yet. So, and maybe it'll be late. Maybe it'll be later than it's supposed to be. So this is what I'm trying to figure out. All right, while we wait for that, let me show you this. Texas Democrats leave the state to block vote on redrawn House map backed by Trump. This is an AP story. Texas Democrats left the state today. These are Texas Democratic House members, Texas House of Representatives members from the state legislature. Texas Democrats left the state today in an attempt to prevent the state House from holding a vote tomorrow on new congressional maps that Republicans hope will hand them several additional U.S. House seats in the 2026 midterm elections. The dramatic move could expose Democrats to fines and other penalties, with the state's attorney general having previously threatened to arrest them if they took such an action. Refusing to attend legislative session is a civil violation, however, so Democrats legally could not be jailed, and it's unclear who has the power to carry out the warrants. There's also this question of, might President Trump try to get federal agents involved? Might President Trump try to use federal agents to bring them back to Texas? That's a whole other thing. AP says Democrats have cast the decision to leave the state as a last-ditch effort to stop Republicans who hold full control of the Texas government from pushing through a rare mid-decade redrawing of the congressional map at the direction of President Trump. This is not a decision we make lightly, but it's one we make with absolute moral clarity, said Gene Wu, chair of the House Democratic Caucus, in a statement. Usually, states redraw their districts every 10 years after the census, not in the middle of the decade. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second here. Oh, C-SPAN had it for an hour later, said Sandra. I got to check because I haven't seen anything about it. The original announcement from Texas said that the press conference was, Texas Democrats said it was going to be at 7:15 Central Time. And I haven't seen an official update to that. Let me check something. Because I'd like to show you that, certainly. What is this here? All right, I'm still not sure. One moment. One moment. I'm pulling up a couple things here. Oh, I'm seeing hold on. Now I'm seeing, ooh, all right, this is helpful. This might be helpful. Hang on a moment here. Give me a moment. I saw an empty podium. I saw an empty podium on one channel, which is, at least I can see that it hasn't started yet. So that's something. But I can't just steal the feed. But at least I know where to see what's happening in the building. All right, hang on. So there is an empty podium. This might be starting shortly. Sorry, I don't want to miss this. All right, let's see. So that's that. I'm just kind of looking around here to try to make sure I have any place where I can get video for you if I can. Let's see here. Why can't I find... Okay, there's that. So we're going to have more details on this for you, but there's supposed to be a press conference very shortly. And I can see an empty podium. But I don't know if it's going to... I mean, it was supposed to start a minute ago. All right, well, I'm still looking. All right, anyways, let's continue discussing this. Let's continue discussing it, and I'll keep an eye out. And I'll do my best to get it for you. Okay? That's the best I can say right now. All right, as we were saying, as AP reported, Texas Democrats left the state today in an attempt to prevent the state house from holding a vote tomorrow on new congressional maps that Republicans hope will net them several additional U.S. House seats in the 2026 midterm elections. The dramatic move could expose Democrats to fines and other penalties, with the state's attorney general having previously threatened to arrest them if they took such an action. Refusing to attend legislative session is a civil violation, however, so Democrats legally could not be jailed, and it's unclear who has the power to carry out the warrants. Democrats have cast the decision to leave the state as a last-ditch effort to stop Republicans, who hold full control of the Texas government, from pushing through a rare mid-decade redrawing of the congressional map at the direction of President Trump. This is not a decision we make lightly, but it is one we make with absolute moral clarity, said the head of the Texas House Democrats. To conduct official business, at least 100 members of the 150-member Texas House must be present. Democrats hold 62 of the seats in the majority Republican chamber. At least 51 Democratic members are leaving the state, said a spokesperson for the Texas House Democratic Caucus. The spokesperson said, "Apathy is complicity, and we will not be complicit in the silencing of hard-working communities who have spent decades fighting for the power that Trump wants to steal." This is the second time in 4 years that Texas Democrats have fled the state to block a vote. In 2021, a 38-day standoff took place when Democrats left for Washington, D.C. in opposition to new voting restrictions. Republican Governor Abbott called a special session of the Texas legislature that started last month to take up the redistricting effort, as well as to respond to flooding in Texas Hill Country that killed 135 people. Trump has urged Texas Republicans to redraw the map to help Republicans net a handful of seats in the midterms next year. Okay. And here is what the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, who I think is running for the Senate, the U.S. Senate from Texas. Ken Paxton posted on his social media, Attorney General Ken Paxton said, I'm going to show you. I support the immediate arrest of these rogue lawmakers who fled their duties. These radical Democrats are spitting in the face of every Texan they swore to represent. This is cowardice and dereliction of duty, and they should face the full force of the law without apology. That's what Ken Paxton said. Now, hold on. As I mentioned, there's supposed to be a press conference soon from Texas House Democrats, the ones who fled. It has not started yet. Hey, thanks, by the way, to Crazy Yoda, who says, is it legal for Texas Republicans to do the redistricting? So I'm not a legal expert. The articles I've read hasn't said that it's illegal. And I don't believe the Democrats are saying it's illegal, although I don't know enough about redistricting laws. So, but for what I'll say is, at least in the articles I've been reading today, I haven't seen mention of it being illegal, but I don't know, so I can't really answer your question. But usually it does not happen. That's a good question, though, as to whether the Democrats could find some grounds to sue. Thank you, Allison Hargroves, for your support, and Susan Wallach, and Debbie B., and Lucia Harizo. So both Democratic and Republican states in the past have constructed districts to be favorable to their party. That's a fairly common thing. It's not very common for states to do this in the middle of a decade. Let me read some comments here as I wait for this press conference, which may or may not start soon, and we hopefully will have some footage of. JR Story says they all do it. Well, they don't all do it because some states have legislation they have passed that makes that where I believe there's a number of states that have passed a law that a nonpartisan committee does it in that state. The Gribble says they typically do it after the census. Yes. Our viewer Evan Zielinski says some states have independent commissions. Not the majority, but some. Johnny says, I heard they will be fined. Yes, I believe that's been passed in Texas. I'll show you some more details about that. All right, I'm continuing to look out for this press conference, which has not started yet. Texas Republicans last week, says AP, unveiled their new U.S. House map that would create the 5 new Republican-leaning seats. Republicans currently hold 25 of the state's 38 seats. By the way, if you're wondering how Texas voted as a whole last year, well, for president, For president, Texas went 56% Trump, 42% Harris. 56 to 42%. And for Congress, I don't know if I have access to that. Let me see here if I have access to it. Oops. I'm guessing it's somewhat close to that. I think it was 56-44. Maybe. Actually, I'm not sure. Texas House election. Anyways, '24 Texas House of Representatives election. Oh, this is their House election. November 5th, all 150 seats in the Texas House of Representatives. 56% Republican, 43% Democrat. Now, the seats are not broken down 53 to 46%. Currently, Republicans have 25 of the 38 seats, which would be... They currently have 65.7% of the seats. And 30 out of 38 seats would be 79% of the seats, basically. Again, Democratic and Republican states have redistricted their seats in the past to be more favorable to their candidates. But if the votes were the same way as I showed you in this Washington Post graphic here, if the proposed new map had been used in 2024, instead of 25 Republican seats, there would have been 30 seats. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I just confused something. This vote was for the 56% of people voted for Trump, and 56% of people in 2024 voted for Texas House election for seats in the Texas House. They voted for Republicans. But I don't know what the vote was if you add up all the votes that people, if you add up all of the Texas votes in 2024 for the U.S. House, I'm guessing it's similar to 56% to 43, since that's roughly what the votes for the Texas House were. And I think for Trump and Harris, it was 56-42. I have a hard time believing it was much different than that. But just to be clear, I know I'm getting very technical here. Hold on a second. So the press conference of the Texas Democrats has not started yet. It's supposed to start soon. I'm keeping an eye out here, and I just want to make sure I'm hoping they post it, the Texas Democrats. I'm hoping they themselves post it. But I'm keeping an eye out for it, but it has not started yet. So sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth. Just checking. AP says, by leaving the states, Democrats in the Texas House are looking to block Republicans from the needed quorum, minimum number of members, to hold votes on the map set for tomorrow. The Texas House has rules to fine lawmakers $500 each day they break a quorum. Attorney General Paxton has said previously if Democrats break quorum, they should be found and arrested no matter where they go. A large chunk of the Texas Democrats, says AP, are heading to Illinois, where Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker had been in quiet talks with them for weeks about offering support if they chose to leave the state to break quorum. Pritzker, a potential 2028 presidential contender, has been one of Trump's most outspoken critics during his second term. Okay. Now with Texas Democrats holed up in Illinois and blocking the Trump-backed congressional map in Texas, the stage may be set for a high-profile showdown between Pritzker and President Trump. Trump is looking to avoid a repeat of his first term when Democrats flipped the House just 2 years into his presidency, and Trump hopes the new Texas map will aid that effort. Trump officials have also looked at redrawing lines in other states such as Missouri, according to a person familiar with the conversations but unauthorized to speak publicly about them. All right, hold on. There's no press conference has not started yet, but there is a podium. Thanks, by the way, to Sevenfold777. Let me read some comments from you guys about this. PZ Papa Zulu. Thank you, PZ Papa Zulu. And Phil Durgan. And Chris Lee. And Mike from Jersey. Mainly, Wicked Videos says beginnings of a civil war? Distant Galaxy thinks nothing the Republicans can do will stop them from losing the House. Russ Lane says, so they all fled to Illinois. This presser will be hilarious. I guess most of them fled to Illinois. Russian Vodka says Newsom is doing the same thing in California, but it doesn't make the news. I think what Gavin Newsom has said actually is that California might try something like this if Texas does it. Jay Lee says you can't cheat Texas. You can't cheat, Texas. Why did they go to Illinois? Well, I had read that they wanted to go to a Democratic-controlled state, and that one article I read said they didn't want to go to D.C. like they did in 2021 because of the worries of federal control over it. I'll give you some more background on this too. I wish I knew what was so the press conference was supposed to start at 7:15 Central. It's now 7:31 Central. No press conference yet. I'm not aware that it's been officially delayed. I haven't seen any update yet from the Texas Democrats about it. I would think the Texas Democrats would want to show it themselves. Okay. Let me, while we're waiting for hopefully this press conference. Old Soul Laughing says, who is paying all the expenses of this out-of-state trip for so many people? I don't know if the Texas Democrats pay for it, the party pays for it or not. I don't know. I understand the question. I do not know. Adam thinks it's the best move ever. Oh, let me show you what the Texas House Democrats said about this. See, this is weird. They're having it, they have this there. Let me just check something real quick. Just checking something real quick for you. Okay, I was going to show you what the Texas House Democrats statement was on this. Here is the Texas House Democrat statement. Well, is this the whole statement or part of it? I think this might be part of it. Going back to find you the actual. Here's at least a short version of their statement. Right here. So they said the choice was clear. Stand by while Governor Abbott of Texas silences millions of Black and Latino voters, or use every tool available to stop this assault on our democracy. This corrupt special session is over. Texas House Democrats deny quorum. This is from the Texas Democrats, Texas House Democrats. For 2 weeks, they say, white families in the Hill Country mourn the loss. White. I said white because they said Black and Latino over here, but it says while, not white. For 2 weeks, while families, it's not just white, obviously. For 2 weeks, while families, not just white, in the Hill Country mourned the loss of over 130 Texans. And this was terrible, by the way. We covered that for days. What a terrible event. Okay, let me read the statement correctly. For 2 weeks, while families in the Hill Country mourned the loss of over 130 Texans in catastrophic floods, Democrats fought to make their relief the legislature's top priority. Instead, Governor Abbott and Republican leadership used the tragedy as political cover. After thousands of Texans testified against this corrupt bargain in hearings across the state, their pleas were ignored. Governor Abbott has turned the victims of a tragedy into political hostages in his submission to President Trump. We will not allow disaster relief to be held hostage to a Trump gerrymanderer. As of today, this corrupt special session is over. So what the Democrats are arguing, the Texas House Democrats are arguing, this special session of Congress was called by Governor Abbott. And one thing that's supposed to happen in this special session of Congress, of the legislature in Texas, the special section of the Texas legislature, one thing they're supposed to do is pass relief funding for the victims, those impacted by the horrendous flooding tragedy that happened in Texas back in July. But what the Texas Democrats are saying is that, well, what Abbott has done is say, well, we're going to work on both things during the session. So now, they have fled the state, these Democrats, because they think that it's unjust what's going to happen with the redistricting. And they say that they are saying that that the Republicans, Greg Abbott, has teamed up these two things, passing redistricting and passing aid for the flood victims in the same session to try to force Democrats to be there. And they say they're not going to go along with it. I'm not telling you what you should think. I'm just telling you I'm explaining to you what they're saying. Okay, I'm just explaining to you so you can understand their statement, because you might not have understood. It's kind of confusing, the background. So I'm guessing you will have Republicans saying, look at these Democrats. They don't even want to vote on this aid bill. And the Democrats are going to say, no, we're not there because we don't want to vote on aid. We're not there because we don't want to vote on the redistricting thing that has been teamed up with the aid. The press conference has not started yet, by the way, but looks like they're getting closer. Give me 1 second here. I think the press conference is getting closer. Because there's some people there, but it has not started. Where is this here? Ooh. Where is... Here. That's what I want. Guys, give me 1 second here. I need about 30 seconds. Here is, let me just, while I'm doing this, I'll just put this on the screen right there. This is related to trying to get you a video of the press conference. Hold on one second here. Let me just do this. I think I'm done. Okay. No press conference yet. It's coming. It's happening soon. Patrick, our viewer, says no real democracy should let politicians pick their voters by drawing their own district lines. That's not representation. It's rigging the game. By the way, this kind of thing happens in both Democratic and Republican states. This is more rare, this Texas move, because it's a mid-decade move, which is rare. Usually the states redistrict at the start of the new decade after the census. Kristen Verdi says Democrats are off to their safe space. Iroquois, thank you. Iroquois says this is a common political strategy used by all parties when needed. Personally, I'm glad they are using all the levers they can to stop this corrupt administration. By the way, so one question I've seen raised, for example, the New York Times raised this question. The New York Times said that, where is it here? I thought that I could have swore I read them say something about this. Where is it? The Times said something like, it's possible President Trump could try to use federal agents to get them back to get the people back to Texas. I know I read that in one of the I think it was a Times article. I read it in one of the articles before I came on the air. I can't find the article right now. I think it was in a Times article. Yes. Okay. What exactly what the Times said is, according to the New York Times, some Texas Democratic House members said they were concerned that President Trump could try to use federal agents to get them back to Texas. I'm interested if President Trump threatens to do so. I don't believe he has posted about this today. No, President Trump hasn't posted about this today that I see. So that would certainly be a big deal if that happened. Donna Smith thinks that would be overstepping. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Okay, let's talk about a little more background here. Thank you, Orvit. I will be checking my messages. Thank you, Orvit, for your support. Thank you also to Jingo Is Me over on Twitch and EC on Twitch. Thanks for your support. And thanks to all of our moderators like Shannon Davis Hughes, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley. Thanks, Kristen McConnell Gates, for the Facebook stars. Thank you. Also over on Twitch, our moderators, Bash and Girl, Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai 3, Surly Dev. On YouTube, Cynthia Moon, Sabrina. Thank you. They are over there moderating. And all of our other YouTube moderators, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha, moderate for us on X. We're going to get into some of the more of the details of this too in a second. But I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I keep keeping an eye. I want to see if that press conference is going to start anytime soon. Thanks, JSW, for subscribing on Twitch. Here's an article from the Washington Post. Texas Democrats to flee state blocking plan to pad GOP's control of Congress. CWA says, I wish they would all leave Texas. So the Post says Democrats in the Texas legislature said they were fleeing the state today to block a redistricting plan backed by President Trump aimed at preserving the GOP's slim House majority in the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Federal House of Representatives, escalating tensions as a broader fight over congressional district lines unfolds throughout the country ahead of the 2026 midterms. So as I said before, this could get even bigger. You could have a situation where some Democrat states like California, in response to this, try to redistrict in their own states. So this could become a much larger thing with multiple states involved ahead of the 2026 election, not just Texas. I'm going to show you some of what Gavin Newsom said today. Also, the governor of California. Governor Newsom posted that he posted a link to a story about the Democrats fleeing the state. And Governor Newsom of California said, this is what fighting for our democracy looks like. Also, he posted an attack on Ken Paxton. A verbal attack. I'll show you that if you give me a second here. So Ken Paxton had posted that Democrats in the Texas House who try and run away like cowards should be found, arrested, and brought back to the Capitol immediately. He's the Attorney General of Texas. He's running for the U.S. Senate. Gavin Newsom of California, governor, said Ken Paxton was impeached for handing out favors to donors, faced a federal investigation for bribery, had to do community service, and paid restitution. If he wants to talk about who he thinks is above the law, he should look in the mirror. Keeping an eye out for this press conference. The press conference there's a Texas, some of the Texas Democrats are supposed to do a press conference in Illinois, I believe with Governor Pritzker of Illinois, where they have fled to. That's supposed to be coming up. I'm hoping to have footage of that to show you. So timing is unclear, but I'm hoping to have footage of that to show you. Anyways, hold on a second here. You can see here, The Washington Post, I was showing you some of this. Texas Democrats in the Texas legislature said they were fleeing the state today to block a redistricting plan backed by President Trump aimed at preserving the GOP's slim House majority. Escalating tensions as a broader fight over congressional district lines unfolds throughout the country ahead of the 2026 midterms. Texas Democrats have twice deployed the same tactic to combat legislation in the 22 years since Republicans have controlled all of state government in Texas, but their efforts ultimately failed. This time, Democrats plan to stay away for 2 weeks to run out the clock on a special legislative session called by Governor Greg Abbott to draw a map that would give Republicans 5 more House seats. Odds are it would give them 5 more House seats. Not in the state House, but these are the districts that are used to apportion the U.S. House seats. So we're talking about the Texas legislature voting on how to break up the congressional districts in Texas, which are the districts where each U.S. House representative member from Texas represents. So there's an election in each of those districts to elect a member to the U.S. House. The Texas House can conduct business only when 2/3 of its 150 members are present. At least 51 of the chamber's 62 Democrats will need to boycott the session to prevent Republicans from acting on the new map. The lawmakers could return a couple of days before the special session ends and use other stall tactics, but any success could be short-lived as Abbott can immediately call another 30-day session. Oh, not in 30 days. So I guess, that's interesting. I misinterpreted this before. So I guess Governor Abbott can just say, well, we're going to have another 30-day session. So would they just stay away for 30 more days? The Democrats who said they were flying to Chicago are making a risky bet. They could each face $500 daily fines and political blowback as part of the special session. Lawmakers are considering legislation to respond to last month's deadly floods, and blocking action on that issue will likely be unpopular. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, as I mentioned, has threatened to arrest legislators who break quorum, but he won't have jurisdiction over them if they stay out of state. He can't send like Texas police to go arrest them in some other state. Dan PB says, my guess is someone would pay the fines for them. Birdman thinks it should be $5,000 a day. I believe the amount of the fine was passed, I think, by the Texas legislature several years ago. Physics says this happened in Oregon not that long ago. I'm not aware of that incident. I don't know the details of that, if that happened. But thank you, Physics. Bitcoin Radio, our viewer, says eventually they have to go back home, so it's like a runaway team deal. Nereus thinks they are blocking democracy by definition. Interesting irony. Ice King of Space says, finally some pushback to this corruption. Melissa Tate says they have to come back home at some point. So as I mentioned, this is a wider, this is part of possibly a wider story. The Washington Post says the fight in Texas and a looming GOP-led redistricting effort in Ohio have kicked off a national battle with Democrats in California, Illinois, and New York threatening to retaliate by tilting their state's congressional districts further in favor of their party. The Democrats' embrace of an all-or-nothing gerrymandering strategy comes after many Democrats spent years backing plans to strip politics from the map-drawing process to ensure voters have fair competitive districts. Gerrymandering is where you specially construct the districts to favor one party or another. While states such as Arizona and Michigan have adopted nonpartisan systems for drawing maps, Texas and many other states have not. And partisans there have free rein to give themselves as much power as possible. Texas Republicans unveiled a map last week under pressure from Trump and Abbott that would shift 5 districts sharply to the right. A committee approved the map Saturday, and the Texas House was expected to take it up on Tuesday. Republicans currently hold 25 of the state's 38 congressional districts, and under the new map, they could take 30 next year. Trump won all 30 of the proposed districts by 10 points or more last year. I showed you this graph before from a different article in the Washington Post. Here, how the current and proposed districts voted for president in 2024. Oh, how they voted for president. But, so I'm not an expert on this redistricting. So there are changes to the districts. You can see the shapes of the districts are not the same. Like this one is bigger. See that shape here is missing here. So the map has differences here. 5 seats currently held by Democrats were redrawn to cover areas Trump carried by double digits. Where's the blue? So these are different districts. Now the thing is, I mean, there will be more people concentrated in urban areas. So, you know, this district here is bigger than this one here, but they might have the same, or this district might have more people. Population density is not uniform throughout Texas. All right, hang on. I'm just waiting here to see. Again, we're supposed to get a press conference from Texas Democrats in Illinois, I believe with Governor Pritzker. I'm hoping to have footage of that I can show you. That has not started yet. It's supposed to start soon. Some Texas House members have been posting messages today, posting videos about leaving the state. So here's a post from James Tallarico, who says, "My Democratic colleagues and I just left the state of Texas to break quorum and stop Trump's redistricting power grab. Trump," he says, "is trying to rig the midterm elections right before our eyes, but first he'll have to come through us. It's time to fight back." Here's what Texas State House Representative James Tallarico had to say.
This is State Representative James Tallarico from Texas. If you're seeing this video, my Democratic colleagues and I have just left our beloved state to break quorum and stop Trump's redistricting power grab. Trump told our Republican colleagues to redraw the political maps here in Texas in the middle of the decade to get him 5 more seats and protect his majority in Congress. They're turning our districts into crazy shapes to guarantee the outcome they want in the 2026 elections. If this power grab succeeds, they will hang on to power without any accountability from the voters. But Texas Democrats are fighting back. We're leaving the state, breaking quorum, and preventing Republicans from silencing our voices and rigging the next election. We are not fighting for the Democratic Party. We are fighting for the democratic process, and the stakes could not be higher. We have to take a stand. This is State.
Now, as I said, I'm not aware that Texas state Republicans are having a press conference tonight. If I find out there are, I'll show that too. So I was giving you an example of one of the Democrats. There he is at the airport. Although he says if you're seeing this, it sounds like he recorded the message in advance and had it ready to go in case they left. But that's just an example of, he's one of the House Republicans in Texas who have left the state. right, hold on a minute here. By the way, President Trump is returning from a weekend in New Jersey. His plane, I think, just landed in Maryland at Joint Base Andrews. All right, give me a moment here. I wonder if this thing... All right, it's currently 9 Eastern Time, almost 9 Eastern Time, 8 Central Time. One of our viewers thought that this press conference had been rescheduled to 8:15 Central Time. So maybe that's what happened. I'm not sure. But there's a podium there. So I'm hoping to be able to bring that to you. Our viewer, Just Josh, writes in and says, Democrats redraw the lines whenever they can. There is nothing new here. The party in power always does this. Today's trip to Chicago isn't an act of bravery, it's a circus, our viewer Just Josh says. The Smiling Angel Lowell says this brings back memories of a debacle in Wisconsin several years ago where Democrats fled the state while Governor Walker, Republican, was enacting reformative policies that they staunchly disagreed with. I don't remember the details of that, but thank you for writing in the Smiling Angel. Thanks also to Bullshod, who thinks redistricting is a sound idea that will benefit both parties. Thanks for your support. Thank you, Andrew Schlegel, who says this is what fighting for democracy looks like, running away. Andrew thinks Democrats are fleeing because they don't like the outcome. Thank you, Lucia Horizo, who says for 4 years the Democrats had a corpse and could have run wild with everything. It's pure freakout mode now that there is finally someone in charge. That's what Lucia says. Thank you, Lucia, for your support. Oregon guy is thinking that Gavin criticized Republicans in Oregon when they fled the state. There. I don't remember that incident, so I don't know. And I don't know what Gavin Newsom said about that. I do not know, Oregon guy, but thank you. Carter Davis, our viewer, said he thinks that the Texas Democrats are being misleading. The special session was not for flood relief. It was regarding THC bans in the state. Flood relief was included with the agenda the governor released, but it is not and never was about flood relief. That's what Carter says. I don't know that they've specifically said it's about. I don't know if the Democrats' complaint is that it's about flood relief or that flood relief was put in there. Maybe we can get some more specifics about what Texas House Democrats are saying about this. Thank you, Carter Davis. Carter thinks that federal agents cannot force the Republicans, the Democrats, to go back to Texas because there's no federal crime for breaking a quorum. I have no idea. As I mentioned, according to the New York Times, some Texas House Democrats are worried that President Trump might try to use federal agents to bring them back to Texas. I don't know if there's a legal basis to do that. It's a good question. Thanks, Carter, for writing in. We're waiting for this press conference with the House Democrats in Illinois. We are waiting for it. I'm hoping to be able to show it to you. While we wait for that, let me give you some more details here. Again, Texas House Democrats have fled the state to block Republicans from redrawing the congressional map to add more GOP seats and take away seats from Democrats. We're talking about Congress seats in Texas. The Washington Post says, before Texas lawmakers unveiled their new map, Trump said he favored a very simple redrawing that would give Republicans more seats. He said, we pick up 5 seats in Texas, but we have a couple other states where we'll pick up seats also, he told reporters. Texas Representative Todd Hunter, Republican, the sponsor of the legislation to draw the new map, called the Republican proposal a good plan for Texas that would give his party more seats in Congress. The primary changes are focused on 5 districts for partisan purposes, he said in committee. All states must draw new district lines at the beginning of each decade to account for population shifts identified by the U.S. Census, which happens once every 10 years. Where they place the lines can greatly favor one party over the other. Most states give legislators the power to draw the districts, but 8 states use independent commissions in hopes of preventing partisan power grabs, says the Post. After the 2020 census, Texas Republicans focused on keeping incumbents safe. Their current plan to redraw district lines in the middle of a decade is unusual, and Republicans are open about using their power to stave off potential losses during the midterm elections, which historically have gone against the sitting president's party. Republicans hold a 219 to 212 majority in the U.S. House with 4 vacancies, and any cushion could protect their ability to deliver on Trump's agenda. His signature tax and immigration bill squeezed through the chamber 218 to 214. Governor Gavin Newsom of California has said he is working on a plan to shift Republican districts in California to the left if Texas adopts a new map. In a dig at the GOP, Newsom reposted a map Friday on X from another user that showed all 52 of California's congressional districts could be drawn to favor Democrats, likely wiping out the re-election chances of the 9 Republicans who represent the state. Enacting a new map in California is not as easy as it is in Texas because the California Constitution requires that a nonpartisan commission establish districts. Newsom has said he wants to call a special election in November to get approval from California voters to change the state's election map for 2026, 2028, and 2030 if Texas changes their map. I also want to add this from the Washington Post. Republicans and Democrats alike engaged in gerrymandering in some states in the most recent round of redistricting. Illinois, the new temporary home for Texas Democrats, has a map that received an F from the Princeton Gerrymandering Project because it is so heavily skewed toward Democrats. Gerrymandering is when you adjust the districts to favor one party or the other. Again, shortly we are supposed to have a press conference from the Texas House Republicans who have fled and are in Illinois. And I am hoping to bring that to you, and I keep checking for it to start, but it has not started yet. JLR viewer thinks Democrats have gerrymandered California, Illinois, Maryland, and others. Patrick thinks all gerrymandering should be stopped. Tennessee Tornado says you can't lose if you don't stay and fight. Cowards run. Marin Gobras says, gerrymandering is whack. Some prominent Democrats are saying that Democrats need to do the same in other states if, by the way, Republicans do this in, say, Texas. For example, Governor Tim Walz, the Democratic nominee for vice president last year, said if Texas changes its map, Democrats need to do the same wherever they can. He said it's a terrible spot we're in as a country, but not responding is going to make it even worse. The Post says changing maps in states led by Democrats is difficult. Well, at least in some states led by Democrats. For example, in Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Tony Evers of Wisconsin, all Democrats, appeared in an event with the governors of Kentucky and Rhode Island, and all 5 governors are in charge of states where there appear to be few options for adding Democratic seats. So it depends on the state and what the situation is in this particular state. Republicans hold majorities in the legislatures of Kansas, Kentucky, and Wisconsin, for example. Minnesota's courts will not allow gerrymandering in Minnesota. All right. It is currently 8:10 p.m. Central Time. Sometime soon, we are expecting, as I keep saying, it was supposed to be 7:15 Central Time originally, but it hasn't happened yet, a press conference from the Texas House Democrats. Let me just see if I have any updates for you. Give me 2 seconds here. Yes, this press conference is supposed to be in Illinois. Oh, Oregon guy says he was saying that Gavin Newsom did not compliment Republicans for displaying what democracy looked like when they fled Oregon. That's what Oregon guy claims, our viewer. Yeah, here, one of our viewers wants to see these maps again. I'm not an expert on these maps, but here is the Washington Post graphic showing the 2 different maps, the current one and the proposed one. Right here. That's the current and proposed maps. So you can see they're not exactly the same. I'm not an expert on how they all differ. Eric Zimmerman thinks the gloves are off now. I'm seeing some people on the screen, but no press conference yet. Now, the other thing about this is, so look, there's going to be a lot more people where the cities are. So, you know, you could draw, I'm guessing when you start messing with the lines near the cities, that can be big shifts of people. But when you look at it at this scale, it might not look that big at this scale. Because this is a state, this is not a close-up, this map. I mean, you can see, so for example, if you look down here, see how Austin, clearly the map is different here in Austin and Austin. But it's not going to be really visible on up here. And same San Antonio, you see there's clearly some differences there, probably differences in all these areas that are in the circles. Xvel says they chop up parts of the city with huge plots of land. The Post also says Texas map would add 5 safe Republican seats, what it means for the midterms. With control of the narrowly divided U.S. House hanging in the balance of the 2026 midterm elections, Republicans in Texas, at the urging of President Trump, unveiled their opening proposal Wednesday to redraw district boundaries that would give them 5 more safely red seats. The GOP-led state legislature, which is convened in a special session to draft the plans and address this summer's deadly flooding in the state, released the preliminary maps after days of contentious hearings. In response, now this article is from days ago. In response, what's happened today is Texas House Democrats have left the state. So there are not enough people to hold a vote in the Texas House. Democrats also have threatened to retaliate elsewhere against Republicans by adding Democratic seats in their states. Texas Republicans have sought to portray their efforts as typical. Democrats in the state and beyond have decried the unusual mid-decade redistricting attempt as a partisan power grab to tilt the midterm elections so the GOP can hang on to its control of Congress. Redrawing of maps typically takes place after the U.S. Census Bureau finishes its once-a-decade population count and can dramatically alter the balance of power between political parties. Rules for redrawing the lines vary by state, and in Texas, legislators control the process. Okay, let me just kind of skim through here. So in the new maps, Republicans would be likely to win 30 seats in the state rather than 25. 4 of the 5 potential GOP pickups have Hispanic majorities, says the Washington Post. What do Republicans say about them? Publicly Texan Republican lawmakers have downplayed their plans, saying they are responding to a request from Governor Abbott to reconsider the maps they drew after the 2020 census. After that census, Republicans largely played it safe and tried to protect incumbents. Texas Democrats have decried the moves as a power grab and accused Republicans of violating the Voting Rights Act, a 1965 law meant to ensure Black and Latino communities can elect candidates of their choosing. Texas Democrats are promising to fight, but they have little power to stop the redistricting efforts because Republicans control both legislative chambers in Texas. But again, they have now fled the state, which at least temporarily is stopping any vote on this. What are the national implications? Republicans are defending a slim majority in next year's elections. Historical trends in Trump's low approval rating, that's according to the Washington Post, suggest the midterms could be challenging for the GOP, and any redrawing of maps in a way that favors one side could have far-reaching impacts. Republicans control both chambers of Congress, and losing either one could have be a major impediment to Trump's legislative agenda. Republicans have only a couple weeks in Texas to act because special sessions in Texas last just 30 days. I guess the current one is already going. If they don't approve the maps in time because of a Democratic walkout or another reason, Governor Abbott could call a new special session and restart the 30-day clock. Also, as we've mentioned, Democratic-controlled states such as California, Illinois, and New York are exploring options to retaliate by redrawing their own lines to give their party more House seats if Texas approves new maps. Now, how many states might end up redrawing stuff? I have no idea. I do not know. Could we have a lot of states redrawing their maps before the 2026 election in response to each other? It's a good question. I don't know how many. Why are they going to Illinois? Well, they have to go somewhere. They can't go nowhere. So they have to pick somewhere to go. Illinois is a solidly Democratic state. What just happened here? That was weird. Oh. I had my eye on a camera. I can't use that feed. I had my eye on a camera from Fox 4 Dallas that was like at the podium. And now the camera's outside, so I don't know what happened there. I wasn't watching that feed, so I don't know what happened there. I don't know if they said get out until the press conference or they moved the press conference or what. Maybe they're waiting for the lawmakers to show up. TJ Adams says, where else would they go but to one of the few blue states? That's what TJ says. Yeah, the press conference has not started yet. Army Vet says it's not a given that 5 seats will be gained. That is true. Trump won all 30 of the proposed districts in Texas by 10 points or more in 2024, says the Washington Post, making it extremely difficult for Democrats to win any of them. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't. We are waiting for hopefully a press conference soon. I'll show you what another Texas House Democrat had to say earlier. Here's another Texas House member who posted a video about why she is fleeing the state and breaking quorum. The Texas House Democrats said breaking quorum, again, a quorum is the minimum number needed to hold a vote. So they don't have that with all of these legislators fleeing the state. Breaking quorum is not a decision we take lightly. However, when Governor Abbott chooses to withhold critical flood relief in order to advance a partisan agenda at the request of President Trump, they say, we are left with no choice. He had ample opportunity to prioritize disaster recovery earlier in the session, but instead chose to play political games. So it sounds like the House Democrats are saying, hey, the Republicans could have already passed flood relief in this special session already, rather than waiting until they passed, until the redistricting was passed. That's what they're saying. So here is Donna Howard, who is a Texas state rep, on why she has fled the state.
Hi, I'm State Rep. Hi, I'm State Representative Donna Howard from House District 48 here in Travis County, joining the quorum break because we are doing everything we can to stop this sham of a map redrawing that is not about helping the people of this state. It's a pure power grab from President Trump. And Abbott and the Republicans are apparently all too willing to bend the knee and do whatever he asks, despite the fact that this will actually harm the voters here in Texas. The fact is that we've done everything we can. This was not our only option, but we've done everything, and this is all that's left to us to do because we have to take this to the whole country. What starts here in Texas is going to not just stop here. It's going to affect all of America. Hi,
So that's Donna Howard, who's a Democratic state legislator in Texas. Governor Abbott posted this today. He said, met with representatives Baumgartner and Matt Morgan in Austin last week to talk about critical items on the special session agenda. We must pass Texans' priorities, including flood preparation and recovery legislation. So again, we have Republicans saying these Democrats who are fleeing are preventing us from passing the flood relief. And you have Democrats saying, no, they put the flood relief on the same docket as the redistricting to put pressure on us to stay there and to be able to criticize us if we left. That's the basic idea of an argument that's being made. Where is the... Yeah, see, in this post, Texas House Democrats said, instead of putting flood victims have been waiting weeks for Governor Abbott and the legislature to provide relief. Instead of putting their needs first, Republicans have chose to use the tragedy as political cover. That's what House Democrats in Texas are arguing. All right. Again, it looks like maybe this press conference is starting shortly, but it has not started yet. Texas House Democrats going to give a press conference in Illinois. It was supposed to originally be over an hour ago. Marie Burns thinks Democrats won't get votes from flood victims. Our viewer DC writes in, this is what DC said. DC says, population of counties in a state determine the amount of congressional districts. No more non-residents in a state would trigger a redistricting immediately. This is what is happening in Texas now. Well, they're not. That's what all right, anyways, I'm going to read you what DC says. The Democrats skirted the law for decades on this fact, ended up with many districts in their favor, and now they are getting a punch in the face when it takes 6 months to prove how corrupt both parties have been over this issue. So I believe that Texas Republicans are saying, they're not saying they're redistricting because the population has changed specifically. They're saying they're redistricting to benefit, to have more Republican seats. One of the articles I read had a quote from a Republican in there. So let me just go back. I'm not familiar with all the quotes that all the Republicans have said. But let me go back to was it the AP article that had that quote? Because I read it earlier. Where is it here? One of the articles we read had it. Just to be clear. Yeah, the Washington Post article said Texas Representative Todd Hunter, the sponsor of the legislation to draw the new map, called the GOP proposal a good plan for Texas that would give his party more seats in Congress. The primary changes are focused on 5 districts for partisan purposes, he said in committee. I'm not aware that there's some other argument they're giving for doing this. Anyways, our viewer DC thinks that, if I'm interpreting DC right, DC thinks that both parties have been corrupt on this issue. That's what DC says. DC, thank you for writing in. XVEL thinks they are saying the quiet part out loud now. I have to go check and see if I can get any more quotes on that. I'm not familiar with the whole debate on this in the state. We're still waiting for the press conference, by the way. Mr. Robinson thinks it's kind of juvenile that they're leaving the state. So will we end up having this battle in multiple states where different states are doing redistricting all at once to try to get more seats for their side in the 2026 election? And how will this impact the 2026 election? I don't know. Hey, thanks to Sloppy Joe, our new member. Thanks also to Lee Finks. I'll say Lee Finks. Thanks for your support, who's not a fan of the Democrats. Thank you, Braden E. Nelson, our new member. Kimo Sabi, who says, if I refuse to show up for work, I get fired. Thanks, Rule, for your support, who says it only takes one rogue judge to issue arrest warrants. Again, I don't believe that Texas law enforcement would have any kind of jurisdiction to go to another state and arrest people. But, the New York Times reported that some Texas House Democrats are worried that President Trump might try to do something with federal agents to bring them back to Texas. That is not something that I've heard President Trump say anything about so far, but we'll have to see what happens. Thank you, Joe, for your support. Joe thinks it's clear the Democrats hate the USA and will do anything for power. Glad to see the GOP grow a pair and fight back. That's what Joe says. Thank you, Alden, who says Democrats are not allowing cheating by Republicans to go unanswered anymore. Thanks, Alden, for your support. Thanks also, Douthis, for the gift sub. Spencer Biohazard for subscribing. Larry Picklejar, who says, Larry Picklejar says, let Trump send in the feds to drag back Democrats simply to push his gerrymandering scheme forward. I'm sure that will play great with swing voters for the midterms. Larry Picklejar seems to think it would not be good politics for Trump to try to use federal agents to bring the Texas legislators back to Texas. Thank you, Device X, for subscribing. Big Dog Gaming, thanks for your support. Thank you. I know I've said it before. The press conference has not started yet. I think this story could become, I don't think it's a small story now, but if we start seeing redistricting movements in other states, I don't think it's out of the question that President Trump could bring up the idea of using some sort of federal law enforcement to take action against the Texas legislators. I don't think it's, maybe he mentions it or something, which would be a huge story. So we'll have to see. Venom Platypus thinks California will be next. What if the election happens in 2026 and control of the House is determined by the redistricting one way or the other? What if that happens? Will B says Abbott will handle it. Trump won't get involved. Joseph Roy thinks Greg Abbott has the call, not Trump. Well, Trump is the one who has call over federal officials, federal law enforcement. You can see here, Reuters says Democratic lawmakers in Texas said today they are leaving the state to deny Republicans the quorum needed to redraw the state's 38 congressional districts, a move sought to protect the Republicans' narrow U.S. House majority in next year's midterm elections. President Trump has championed the redistricting plan, telling reporters he expects the effort to yield as many as 5 additional House Republicans. Republicans currently hold a 220 to 212 majority in the House of Representatives, with 3 Democratic-held seats vacant after members' deaths. A number of Texas Democrats have said they're headed to Illinois. There's supposed to be a press conference in Illinois shortly. States are required to redistrict every 10 years based on the U.S. Census, but the Texas map was passed just 4 years ago by the Republican-dominated legislature. While mid-cycle redistricting occasionally takes place, it is usually prompted by a change in power at the legislature, whereas one party or the other takes over the legislature. Republicans have pursued redistricting in a special legislative session that will also address funding for flood prevention in the wake of the deadly July 4th flash flooding that killed more than 130. I think they're doing flood relief legislation too. I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's what I thought. Under the current lines, Republicans control 25 of the 38 seats, nearly 2/3 of the districts in a state that went for Trump last year by 56% to 42%. Redistricting experts have said the plan could backfire if Republicans try to squeeze too many seats out of what is already considered a significantly skewed map. At the bottom, it says Governor Abbott's office did not respond to a request for comment about the Democrats' move on Saturday, Sunday. I have not yet seen an official comment from Governor Abbott yet today after the Democrats announced they were leaving town. I'm sure he'll have something to say about it. Hey, thanks, Mitchell Pilot, for your support. I appreciate that. Still no press conference yet. Really want to show that to you. Hopefully I'll be able to. Matthew says anyone doing this is doing election fraud. I think Matthew is referring to the redistricting, but I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, Matthew. Linda F. thinks Republicans would do the same if it were the other way around. AD says the Republicans are unhappy with their own map. So one thing I do wonder, a question that comment suggests is, well, why didn't the Republicans just redraw the map like this 4 years ago? Now, I don't know the answer to that. What I don't know is, would 4 years, the way they're drawing the map now to squeeze out more Republican seats, 4 years ago, would they have felt like, whoa, this is going to be too much. It'll be too unpopular with some of the population. It'll be too politically difficult for us. Whereas maybe they don't feel that now. I don't know. Maybe they feel because they have the backing of Trump, it gives them political cover to do it. I don't know. It's a good question as to why would they draw it like this now and not 4 years ago. Lola P thinks it's weird about the press conference not happening yet. So maybe it took them a while. Maybe it took the Republican lawmakers longer than they thought to get to Illinois. In 2021, they withdrew in the Supreme Court Senate. Is that what happened? It got sent back in 2021? Some of our viewers are saying that they tried in 2021 and it got sent back. Let me look this up. I'm looking to see if I can find Wikipedia 2020s. It's an article called Redistricting in Texas. Does it talk about 2021? Republicans had full control of the legislature for the 2020 redistricting cycle. I don't see anything about the Supreme Court here, but I don't know. One of our viewers, Karina Davis, says there was no decision from the court on the 2021 map. I don't see anything about the Supreme Court here in the Wikipedia article. All right, hold on a moment. I think there might be about to be a press conference starting shortly in, I don't know that we'll have any video of it. I'm hoping the Texas Democrats, I would think they would show video of it. All right, hang on a moment here. It looks like things are about to get started, so hopefully I have access to some video. I have to check the different pages I'm looking on. Give me a moment here. Give me a moment here. I'm seeing some people get to the venue. I would just be surprised if the Texas Democrats didn't show this themselves. But maybe they won't. If I don't have access to it, I'll give you a link. It has not started yet, by the way. And President Trump has not posted about this yet. All right, it's not starting yet. I saw some, it looked like some of the legislators were showing up, but now they're not at the podium anymore. Carter Davis thinks that the members will stay out of the state for the 15 days remaining in the legislative session, and thinks that if Abbott calls another station, they might stay out of the state indefinitely. That I do not know if that'll happen. I don't think anybody knows. Also, Carter thinks that the Texas AG cannot arrest them. That's what Carter thinks, because it's not a matter of penal law. One of the articles mentioned that. I think one of the articles we read said it was a civil violation. It said, yes, AP said refusing to attend legislative session is a civil violation. So Democrats legally could not be jailed, and it's unclear who has the power to carry out the warrants. The state attorney general, Ken Paxton, has threatened to arrest them previously. Okay, hang on. It looks like this thing may be close to starting, possibly. Maybe. The other thing is that the camera I'm looking at that I don't have access to use, they don't have a great signal in there. It's not, it's a decent signal. And Nico says they can't be arrested if they're out of state. They can't be arrested by Texas law enforcement. AD says, how long can they camp out in Illinois? By the way, I believe they get fined $500 a day each for not being there. I don't know how long they're thinking about and what's realistic. So Ken Paxton responded to Gavin Newsom. So Ken Paxton had posted like Democrats in the Texas House who try and run away like cowards should be found, arrested, and brought back to the Capitol immediately. We should use every tool at our disposal to hunt down those who think they are above the law. Hunt down. Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas. Gavin Newsom said, Ken Paxton was impeached for handing out favors to donors, faced a federal investigation for bribery, had to do community service and paid restitution. If he wants to talk about who he thinks is above the law, and he said he should look in the mirror. And then Ken Paxton responded, Gavin Newsom is so desperate to distract from his record of destroying California. You don't know the difference between boys and girls, so I'm not shocked you missed the fact that the witch hunts against me all failed because they were bogus, politically motivated lies the entire time. So they're going back and forth. As I have mentioned, anytime now, there's supposed to be a press conference of Texas House Democrats in Illinois. I'm hoping to be able to bring it to you. It was originally scheduled for an hour and a half ago. I have not seen any kind of official update as to the time. There is a podium. So I am very much hoping to have that for you. AP says how redistricting in Texas and other states could change the game for U.S. House elections. AP says redistricting usually happens after the once-in-a-decade population count by the U.S. Census Bureau or in response to a court ruling. Now Texas Republicans want to break that tradition and other states could follow suit. Democrats in Texas's House have left the state today to prevent the House from voting on a redistricting plan pushed by President Trump that would send 5 more Republicans to Washington after the 2026 midterm elections and make it harder for Democrats to regain the majority and blunt the president's agenda. The state has 38 seats in the House. Republicans now hold 25 and Democrats 12 with 1 seat vacant. A constitutional law scholar at University of Colorado, Doug Spencer, said, "There's been a lot more efforts by the parties and political actors to push the boundaries, literally and figuratively, to reconfigure what the game is. Other states are waiting to see what Texas does and whether to follow suit. The future of redistricting can be vague and variable. Each state has its own set of rules and procedures. Politicians are gauging what voters will tolerate when it comes to politically motivated map making." This is some interesting background. Every decade, the Census Bureau collects population data used to divide the 435 House seats among the 50 states based on the updated head count in each state. It's a process known as reapportionment. States that grew relative to others might gain a seat at the expense of those whose population stagnated or declined. States use their own procedures to draw lines for the assigned number of districts. The smallest states receive just 1 representative, which means the entire state is a single congressional district. Some state constitutions, I believe 8 of them, require independent commissions devise the political boundaries or advise the legislature. It's not the majority. When legislatures take the lead, lawmakers can risk drawing lines that end up challenged in court, usually for violating the Voting Rights Act. Map makers can get another chance to resubmit new maps. Sometimes judges withdraw the maps on their own. I don't know if the Texas map, if there's a chance it could be overturned for violating the Voting Rights Act. Is mid-cycle redistricting allowed, says AP. By the first midterm elections after the latest population count, after the latest census, each state is ready with its maps, but those districts do not always stick. Courts can find that the political lines are unconstitutional. There is no national impediment to a state trying to redraw districts in the middle of the decade and to do it for political reasons, such as increasing representation by the party in power. There's no federal law that says you can't do what Texas is doing right now. The expert said the laws about redistricting just say you have to redistrict after every census. And then some legislatures got a little clever and said, well, it doesn't say we can't do it more than that. Some states do have laws that would prevent mid-cycle redistricting or make it difficult to do so in a way that benefits one party. Gavin Newsom of California, the governor, has threatened to retaliate against the GOP push by drawing more favorable Democratic seats in his state. That goal, however, is complicated by a constitutional amendment that requires an independent commission to lead the process. So it's different in different states. Some more background here from AP. Is the Texas effort unprecedented? Texas has done it before. When the legislature failed to agree on a redistricting plan after the 2000 census, a federal court stepped in with its own map. Republican Tom DeLay of Texas, who was then the U.S. House Majority Leader, thought his state should have 5 more districts friendly to his party. I'm the Majority Leader and we want more seats, he said at the time. State House Democrats back in 2003 protested by fleeing to Oklahoma and depriving the legislature of enough votes to officially conduct business, but delay eventually got his way and Republicans replaced Democrats in 5 seats in 2004. Now a large chunk of Texas State House Democrats have decided to take the same route, heading to Illinois to break quorum. What do the courts say about gerrymandering in general? In 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that federal courts should not get involved in debates over political gerrymandering, the practice of drawing districts for partisan gain. In that decision, Chief Justice John Roberts said redistricting is highly partisan by any measure. But courts can and may demand new maps if they believe the congressional boundaries dilute the votes of a racial minority group in violation of the Voting Rights Act. Again, I do not know what the chances are if Texas goes with its current proposed new map. What are the chances that it could be overturned in the court for violating the votes of a racial minority? I do not know that. It's a good question. Let me just finish this article. It's an interesting article. Could other states follow suit? Washington Representative Susan DelBene, who heads House Democrats' campaign arm, indicated that if Texas follows through on passing new maps, Democratic-led states would look at their own political lines. If they go down this path, absolutely folks are going to respond across the country, DelBene said. We're not going to be sitting back with one hand tied behind our back while Republicans try to undermine voices of the American people. In New York, Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul recently joined California Governor Newsom in expressing openness to taking up mid-decade redistricting. But state laws in New York mandating independent commissions or blunting the ability to gerrymander would come into play. Among Republican-led states, Ohio could try to further expand the 10-5 edge the GOP holds in the House delegation in that state. A quirk in state law requires Ohio to redraw its maps before the next midterms. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said he was considering early redistricting and working through what that would look like. How many states will be doing this? Our viewer Krylon Commando thinks Ohio will flip 2 or 3 seats. That's Susan DelBene, or DelBene, I'm probably not pronouncing it right, in Washington. There's Governor Hochul, Governor Newsom, there's Texas. Hey guys, that press conference hasn't started yet. I'm sorry. It really was supposed to be at 7:15 Central Time. It is now 8:52 Central Time. Sean Mahoney, our viewer, says if the Republicans want to cheat, the Democrats have no choice but to also. Why don't just let the voters vote Republicans? Robin thinks all red states will be doing that. I don't know that all red states have the ability to do it, but maybe more will do it. Bernie Nyberg says, thanks Texas Party for supporting democracy. More human than human, says Arizona. As an Arizonan, I'm so glad we don't have to deal with this. I believe Arizona is one of the states that mandates an independent commission do it. Hang on a moment here. According to the Washington Post, Arizona has a nonpartisan system for drawing maps, as does Michigan and some other states, but many other states don't. Thanks Young Gunna for the gift sub on Twitch. Thanks J-Tide for subscribing on Twitch. Thanks Tennessee Tornado, who thinks they chose to go to Chicago because Pritzker is going to run for president, and it's essentially a campaign event. Look, I think it's a fair point Tennessee Tornado is making, that both Governor Pritzker in Illinois and Governor Newsom, who have been prominent voices, I believe, against Texas doing this, are potential Democratic candidates for the presidency. Governor Newsom has definitely been critical of it. Texas, some of the Texas state House representatives who have fled the state, a bunch of them have gone to Illinois, although some of them have gone to Boston, Albany, and at least one other location. But that was Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Democratic governor, hosting Democratic state representatives, a bunch of them who have left the state of Texas. Why? So to just rehash this, because I know some people came to the stream late. In Texas, the Republican-controlled state legislature in Texas is trying to redraw the congressional map in the congressional districts, the map of congressional districts in Texas. That's the map of the part of Texas that each U.S. House of Representatives member represents. So the districts, each district represents one U.S. House seat, but the state controls the map. So the state, after President Trump requested it, the state Republican-controlled state legislature in Texas is attempting to redraw the map so that more of the seats will end up going Republican. Not that the votes will change, but if you'd redraw the map and change, change what areas get to vote for what seat, you can do it in a way that benefits one party or another. So the proposed map would most likely result in 30 Republican seats out of the 38 U.S. House seats in Texas, rather than the current 25 Republican seats. And usually, states that redraw their maps, they usually only do it every 10 years. But this is coming 4 years since the last redraw. And so Democrats, state legislatures, the Texas State House of Representatives would have to pass this. But a number of Texas state legislators, state House members, have left Texas today, because in Texas you need a certain number of people to show up to have a vote in the House there. It's called a quorum. So by leaving the state, these state House Democrats in Texas are preventing the Republicans from holding a vote to pass this new state map for the U.S. congressional representative districts. Okay, I know even that part is complex. So, we don't know where this is going next, because this special section of Congress, a special session of the Texas legislature, I think lasts about 2 more weeks, but then the governor can just call another special session of the legislature. So are these Texas State House members, Democrats, going to just stay out of the state for months to prevent this vote? Don't know. Also, part of what is being voted on in this special session, which cannot be voted on, I believe is flood relief from the Texas floods. Now, some of the Democrats are saying that they believe that, I think the Texas Democrat official account says that they accuse the Republicans of using that as political cover, basically as scheduling this vote on this flood aid for the same special session as as voting on the electoral districts. Anyways, though, so there's this question of what's going to happen in Texas. will Texas House Democrats be able to prevent the Texas Republican-controlled state legislature from passing this new congressional map, which would end up most likely with more seats going to the Republicans, more congressional seats going to Republicans from Texas? That's the U.S. Congress, the U.S. House. And, for example, states like California, in California, Governor Newsom has said, well, if they do that in Texas, we might do something like that here. So are other states going to, if this happens in Texas, will other states try to redraw their own maps to give more Democrats or more Republicans U.S. House seats? Some states can't. Some states, they have to use an independent commission. Even states that don't have to use an independent commission, they might have certain restrictions on what they can do. So it's very complex. But this could become a bigger issue than just Texas. Also, as I said before, the New York Times was saying that some House Democrats from Texas, some Texas State House members, have expressed concern that President Trump could try to use federal agents to get the Texas House members and bring them back to Texas. Now, President Trump has not said anything about doing this at this point. Will he talk about doing this at all? I have no idea. He hasn't said anything about it. But we'll have to see what happens here. But this move to redo the map is a move that President Trump has requested. So where is this all going? I don't know where it's going to go. We've been talking about this during the stream, and we'll have to see what ultimately happens in Texas, what happens in other states. There's talk that maybe Ohio will, that the Republican-controlled state legislature in Ohio could redo their map to give Republicans more seats there. Again, normally this doesn't happen in the middle of the decade. Normally the maps get rewritten once a decade after the census happens. But this is in the middle of the decade, which usually doesn't happen. And will we see in a state like California them redo their map? Or maybe a state like New York, although it could be difficult to do it in various states for various reasons. Will places like California do it to try to benefit Democrats? Don't know. Don't know. So we will have to see what happens here. But I do think this is a significant story. And what happens if ultimately the vote in the House is super close and it turns because the maps were redrawn, specifically just to favor one side or the other? What if the map redrawing actually determines who controls the House? Could happen because the vote's expected to be pretty close. The current majority, I think, is 220 to 212. It's 7 or 8 seats for Republicans, but it's close. Dillamon says, what's the latest such a change could happen and impact the midterms? That I don't know. That's a specific I don't know the answer to. So we were just watching this press conference by some of those Texas state House Republicans who have fled to Illinois. And they were being hosted by Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker, who may be running for president as a Democrat in 2028, by the way. Okay, so very interesting. I think it's an important story, and I think it could become an even bigger story. I'm going to read some more comments from you. By the way, hey, a quick thanks to our viewer, Joe Rogan. I don't think it's the Joe Rogan. Thanks to Joe Rogan, who says Democrats gerrymandered in Texas when they controlled the legislature. Yeah, as I've said before, gerrymandering, which is the redrawing of boundaries, electoral boundaries to favor one side or the other, happens both in Democratic and Republican-controlled states. It happens in both. As I mentioned, this is seen, this particular instance in Texas is rare in itself because usually the state boundaries are drawn every 10 years. This is a state doing it in the middle, not right after the census. Thanks for your support, Joe Rogan viewer, Real and Virtual Outdoors, Teshera22, Ron Dykeman, thank you for the memberships. Chris Lee, Also, Lucia Harizo. And by the way, AZ Intel's dad, thank you so much for your support. Joshua Scott thinks Governor Hot Wheels needs to be voted out. That's what Joshua Scott said. Are you referring? I thought you were referring. That seems like a kind of a. I thought you were saying. I assumed you were referring to J.B. Pritzker. I apologize. That seems kind of tasteless. If you're referring to Governor Abbott, I apologize. I would not have read that on the air. My brain wasn't working. I was assuming, well, we just heard from Governor Pritzker. He's talking about Governor Pritzker. So I appreciate your support, Joshua Scott, but come on, keep it tasteful in the chat, please. For people who don't know, Governor Abbott is in a wheelchair. And I forget the exact story. The exact story is, I'll have to get it for you. An oak tree fell on him when he was 26 years old, and he was paralyzed below the waist. Terrible. That's why he's in a wheelchair. I'm reading the Wikipedia article on him right now. An oak tree fell on him when he was 26, when he was jogging. Awful. Anyways, I apologize for reading the name. I wasn't thinking. I should have been thinking. Well, I was thinking, I didn't realize it at the time. So let's keep it tasteful. But thank you, Joshua Scott, for your support. Just keep it tasteful, please. Keep it respectful. Also, thank you to Hebrew Jerusalem Prince, who says, I don't see Newsom getting the nomination, I think you're saying, but definitely Pritzker. That's what Hebrew Jerusalem Prince says. Is that what you mean? Thank you to our viewer, Madamus11, and also thanks to Allison Hargroves. Gave 50 people memberships in the YouTube chat. That's so nice of you, Allison. Thank you. If somebody gave you a gift membership or a gift subscription, please thank them. Allison says, think of the repercussions if every state starts doing this over the next 3 months. Now, again, some states, a smaller amount of states, not a majority, cannot do it because they have passed, I believe, state laws which make it, for example, the case that a nonpartisan commission has to do it. Also in different states. So remember also, it's possible in Texas because Texas controls the governorship and the state legislature. So for it to be possible in a state, the state government, I'm guessing, can't be divided. So there's going to be maybe some states where it can't happen because you might have a governor from one party and the state legislator from another party. Also, maybe you have to, maybe even in a state where one party or the other controls the legislature, maybe they don't have a supermajority and they need a supermajority, or maybe there's some other legislation, like we were reading in articles that in California, I think a couple of the articles talked about how there's some commission that has to sign off on any kind of redrawing of the map there. Yeah, Washington Post said the California Constitution requires a nonpartisan commission establishes districts. Now, maybe there's some way around that or something. So, you know, it's an interesting question of realistically speaking, how many states could this happen in? But it could happen in more than just Texas. It's a great question. I don't know the specifics on how many states we might expect that this might happen in. If in a bunch of states they want to start trying to do it. So good question. Matthew says the states that can redistrict already have old news. Well, that's clearly not the case. We're literally looking at a case. We're literally covering a state that can redistrict, and they're changing their previous redistricting. Texas did it 4 years ago. They're proposing a new map now. So, usually, again, states do it every 10 years, but in Texas, they're now doing it, after 4 years. So other states might jump in as well. By the way, if I'm not aware that there was a Republican Texas press conference tonight, I would certainly show it to you if there was and I had it available. Governor Abbott has not posted on social media or released a statement, as far as I'm aware, about the Democrats' move to flee the state today. If he had, I would certainly read it to you. I read you previously the statement. And also, President Trump has not commented on it, I believe, after the fact. No, he's not posted for 6 hours on his True Social. So I'm not keeping those statements from you. I just haven't seen them. I did tell you that Ken Paxton suggested possibly that those people should be arrested. So I'll mention again what Ken Paxton said, the Attorney General of Texas. Oops, that's not what I want to see. Ken Paxton said Democrats in the Texas House who try and run away like cowards should be found, arrested, and brought back to the Capitol immediately. We should use every tool at our disposal to hunt down those who think they are above the law. He also said, I support the immediate arrest of those rogue lawmakers who fled their duties. These radical Democrats are spitting in the face of every Texan they swore to represent. This is cowardice and dereliction of duty, and they should face the full force of the law without apology. Dustin Burrows, who is the Speaker of the Texas House, Republican, said, the Texas House will be convening at 3 p.m. tomorrow. If a quorum, not enough people, is not present then, which I don't think will be, to borrow the recent talking points from some of my Democrat colleagues, all options will be on the table. I don't know what those options are for Republicans. We'll read a few more comments here. Oh, thank you again to Allison Hargroves, by the way. Thank you, Allison. She says, if Democrats from Texas should be arrested, then should senators in Congress be arrested for not voting? Thank you, Allison. Oh, I was going to, hold on a second. There was maybe something else we hadn't looked at yet, which I was going to show you. Here, so here's a little from the Washington Post. We hadn't read this article yet about this whole situation. Blue state Democrats face hurdles countering Texas GOP's new election map. As Texas Republicans prepare to redraw their state's congressional districts to gain 5 House seats and protect their narrow majority in the midterm elections. Again, the Republicans at the state level are going to redraw the maps to make it so that Texas has more U.S. House representatives, Republican representatives in the U.S. House, but that the maps are drawn at the state level. And that is something that President Trump has requested. Democrats in some of the country's bluest states are preparing to retaliate, but Democrats are facing legal hurdles and some political risks for a gambit that could be challenging to pull off quickly, according to lawmakers and redistricting efforts. At the urging of President Trump, Texas Governor Abbott and Republican state lawmakers in Texas are trying to enact a new map this month. Although they can quickly carve up their districts because they have full control of the state legislature and lax redistricting rules, Democrats in other states don't have it as easy as Texas Republicans as they explore how to respond. That's in part because of commissions that some states have put in place to make map drawing less political. In California, for example, Democrats are likely to need permission from voters before they can establish new lines. I was reading an article before that said Governor Newsom might try to have a vote from California voters this November on allowing them to do redistricting. In New York, Democrats may not be able to establish new districts until after next year's midterms because the process for amending the state constitution is so drawn out. And in Illinois, lawmakers can act right away, but the impact would be limited because in Illinois, lawmakers have already tilted many of the state's districts in the Democrats' favor. While Democrats face more obstacles than their GOP counterparts, they are moving faster than many expected, said California redistricting expert Paul Mitchell. He said, the way that what Texas is doing has motivated action so far has been pretty shocking. Democrats could also face questions about their stark shift in tone after many of them once argued that states should use fairer processes for drawing congressional districts that reflect their demography and political leanings, says the Washington Post. Let's see here. Ordinarily, states draw new congressional districts once a decade to account for population changes detected by the census. How those lines are drawn greatly influences which party has an advantage. Okay, Republicans currently have a 219 to 212 majority in the U.S. House, with 4 vacancies, giving them little margin for error in what could be a challenging midterm landscape. All states must abide by the U.S. Constitution and the National Voting Rights Act when they draw maps, but other rules differ by state. Some let lawmakers devise the lines, others use commissions that create more competitive districts. Often courts are called on to review the districts, and they sometimes order major changes to the maps. We talked about this. We said, could Democrats sue about the new map in Texas? The Washington Post says Democrats and voting rights groups have threatened to sue if Texas adopts new maps, but redistricting litigation often takes years to work its way through the courts. And I guess maybe if Texas passes the map, they can use the map. Maybe even though there's a court case going on, the map can stay at place until the court case gets adjudicated, even if that's years later, maybe. Matching Republicans' moves to redistrict, district for district, will be difficult for Democrats, in large parts because several key states have implemented nonpartisan processes for drawing maps. California, New York, and 6 other states have set up independent redistricting commissions, limiting Democrats' ability to draw political lines as they see fit. So the article is saying it may be difficult for Democratic states to respond with their own moves to make up for the seats they might lose in the Texas redistricting and maybe other Republican states. So just quickly showing you some of this, talking about California. Gavin Newsom, governor, has said he favors the Democratic-controlled legislature drawing new maps and then asking voters to approve those new maps through a ballot measure. Currently, Democrats have 43 of the 52 U.S. House seats in California. Gavin Newsom said, we're reacting to the president of the U.S. and Governor Abbott trying to rig the election. He said, I'm not going to sit back any longer in the fetal position, in a position of weakness, when in fact California could demonstrably advance strength. Okay. House Democrats from California agree with redrawing the lines if Texas carries out its plan. But some vulnerable Democrats are hesitant, they said, because they worry about what voters will think of such an unprecedented move. But others saw no option. So it may happen in California. New York, like California, New York has a provision in its constitution that requires an independent commission to draw fair lines. A state representative has proposed amending the New York State Constitution to allow lawmakers to draw new lines in New York if Texas or another state engages in mid-decade redistricting. The soonest that measure could go into effect is 2027. So it looks like, it might be difficult in New York to do something before 2026 for Democrats. Governor Hochul of New York Democrat Governor Hochul has denounced Texas Republicans for redrawing their maps, but said she would consider doing the same if they act. All's fair in love and war, she said. Governor Pritzker, who we heard earlier in Illinois, can act faster because elected officials in Illinois control the map drawing process, but there are few opportunities in Illinois to improve Democrats' prospects there because they already hold 14 of the state's 17 congressional seats. Democrats also must weigh whether such moves could backfire politically. Texas and beyond, let's see here. Democrats this year in Texas who have left the state, we talked about a bunch of state representatives have now left the state today. They could try to stay away until the current special legislative session expires on August 19th, but then Governor Abbott could immediately call 30-day special sessions until they came back. Democrats risk arrest and fines of $500 a day if they leave. From the press conference from Texas House Democrats today, it sounded like from what Governor Pritzker said, they may be getting financial support to help pay the fines. Ohio Republicans, says the Post, are preparing to launch their own redistricting effort. Under Ohio's constitution, state officials are required to draw new maps before the midterms, because the current maps were approved without the support of any Democrats. Republicans control the map drawing process and have a chance to add 2 more GOP-leaning seats. So there could be a couple of Republican seats added by Republicans redrawing the map in Ohio. Republicans in other states could also seek to establish new maps before the 2026 elections if Democrats elsewhere take a tit-for-tat approach. How many states is this going to happen in? Are we going to have lots of states doing this? Wow. That could be, imagine if that happens. Let's see here. So we'll have to see how many states this ends up happening in. That's a nice summary of various possibilities in various states from the Washington Post there. Aries says this sounds like a big headache. How will that look if you have Democratic and Republican states both trying to adjust the maps mid-decade, which is normally not done before the 2026 election? Mama Yoli says it seems like you're going to have a bunch of states doing it. Timido says let the games begin. Chris V says, vote neither. They are on the same side, just keeping people divided. Wake up. MB Trend says they just opened up Pandora box. I really think this is a story you're going to be hearing more about as we get closer to the election. It's August 2025 now, but, 1 or 2 seats could make all the difference for who controls the House. The U.S. House. Remember, President Trump, to pass any legislation, needs the House and the Senate. That's one big reason who controls the House is important. JD63 says more of this and less of the Epstein files. HMN thinks Dems are done playing nice, get ready for a fight GOP. If 1 or 2 states do it, other states might just feel, well, we can do it too. Flea thinks it's just the beginning. I think it's a big deal. And who knows, will there be procedures tried in some states that we're not even thinking of? All right, we'll have to see what happens. Martin Gingrich says, has anything like this ever happened before? That I don't know. I don't know the electoral history of the U.S. and U.S. maps to know enough about it, Martin. I'm sorry. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate your support. No 1FX says Supreme Court will step in. Well, they would only step in if somebody filed a lawsuit against what one of the states was doing. Oh, hold on a second. I think we have something from Greg Abbott. I just saw a report about Greg Abbott. Hold on. We have an update for you. News update. Thank you, Martin Gingrich, by the way. And thank you, whoever made that comment I just mentioned about the Supreme Court. So I don't know if there'll be a Supreme Court case about this. I just saw something. News update. Tony Plohetsky, who is with K-View in Texas, says Governor Abbott said tonight he would seek to declare the seats of House Democrats vacant after they left the state. So let me see if I can get you some more on that. Where is the... I just saw that right now. Okay, hey, we have a new update here. We have a new update. Here it is. Okay. I'm seeing the statement right now. I just posted a link to it from Abigail Velez, who is with CBS Austin, who reports. I got to get the actual statement here myself. Yeah, so he's threatening, I think, to replace them. Replace them in the legislature. I am looking at a new statement from Governor Abbott via Abigail Velez posted this. She is with CBS Austin. I'm going to show you the statement from Governor Abbott. I have it. Here is the statement. I have the statement. I have the statement right here. Here it is. Breaking news. Any member who fails to be in attendance by tomorrow at 3 p.m., I will invoke my Texas Attorney General opinion. I will invoke Texas Attorney General opinion to remove the missing Democrats from membership in the Texas House. And then he will fill their seats. So Governor Abbott just said that if there's any people who are breaking the quorum, intentionally breaking the quorum, and don't show up at 3 p.m. tomorrow, the governor will remove them from the House and fill their seats. And he says these legislators, in addition to abandoning their offices, may also have committed felonies. Many absentee Democrats are soliciting funds to evade the fines they will incur under House rules. Any Democrat who solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept such funds to assist in the violation of legislative duties for purposes of skipping a vote may have violated bribery laws, he says. Also, he says the same could be true for any other person who offers, confers, or agrees to confer such funds to fleeing Democrat House members. I'm going to read this whole letter. Okay. And then he says he will use his full extradition authority to demand the return to Texas of any potential out-of-state felons. So he's saying they could get charged with a felony involving I guess, accepting or soliciting funds to help pay their fines for missing the sessions. And once they're declared felons or charged, I guess, with felonies, he could then use extradition authority, he's saying, to demand their return. So again, Governor Abbott is saying that if Democratic legislators don't get back by 3 p.m. tomorrow, he's going to declare them. He's going to declare their seats vacated and replace them in the Texas House. Can he do it? That I do not know. I'm guessing there very well might there very well might be some lawsuit over doing this. But this just came out right now. Just saw it reported while we were on the air. I'm going to read you the statement from Governor Abbott. Governor Abbott says real Texans do not run from a fight, but that's exactly what most of the Texas House Democrats just did. Rather than doing their job and voting on urgent legislation affecting the lives of all Texans, they have fled Texas to deprive the House of the quorum necessary to meet and conduct business. These absences are not merely unintended and unavoidable interruptions in public service, like a sudden illness in a family or family emergency. Instead, these absences were premeditated for an illegitimate purpose, what one representative called breaking quorum. Another previously signaled that Democrats would have to go by an extreme measure of a quorum break to stop these bills from happening. In other words, Democrats hatched a deliberate plan to not show up for work for the specific purpose of abdicating the duties of their office and thwarting the chamber's business. That amounts to an abandonment or forfeiture of an elected state office. When the governor calls a special session, our Constitution provides that the legislature shall meet. It's not optional, it's a duty. The absconded Democrat House members were elected to meet and vote on legislation, not to prevent votes that may not go their way. Every session, legislators on both sides of the aisle find themselves on the losing side of the legislative vote, and every session, most of those legislators find a way to disagree agreeably and behave like adults rather than going AWOL. Now, here's where he talks about his big threat. He says, this truancy ends now. The derelict Democrat House members must return to Texas and be in attendance when the House reconvenes at 3 p.m. tomorrow. For any member who fails to do so, I will invoke Texas Attorney General Opinion KP 0382 to remove the missing Democrats from membership in the Texas House. In that opinion, the Attorney General of Texas considered whether Texas law allows for a determination that a legislator has vacated office if they intentionally break quorum. The Attorney General, I assume that's Ken Paxton, I assume, but I'm not sure, concluded that whether a specific legislator abandoned his or her office such that a vacancy occurred will be a fact question for a court. He further concluded that through a quo warranto action, a district court may determine that a legislator has forfeited his or her office due to abandonment and can remove the legislator from office, thereby creating a vacancy. That empowers me to swiftly fill vacancies under Article 3, Section 13 of the state constitution. Anyways, so I'm assuming that if Governor Abbott tried to do this, one thing that the Texas House Democrats who he would try to remove from their seats would do is file some sort of lawsuit challenging this legal reasoning here for doing so. Anyways, he also says, in addition to abandoning their offices, these legislators may also have committed felonies. Many absentee Democrats are soliciting funds to evade the fines that they will incur under House rules. Any Democrat who solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept such funds to assist in the violation of legislative duties or for purposes of skipping a vote may have violated bribery laws. The same could be true for any other person who offers, confers, or agrees to confer such funds to fleeing Democrat House members. I will use my full extradition authority to demand the return to Texas of any potential out-of-state felon. So the threat is, we're going to charge you as a felon, and then once we do that, we'll be able to request that a state returns you. Although I got to say, if these Texas House legislators are in a state like Massachusetts or Illinois, I don't know that a state like Massachusetts or Illinois or New York, where a bunch of the legislators are, I don't know that those states are going to agree to an extradition request like this. Anyways, that's what Governor Abbott said. So it just came out. Just came out. Lizzie says, seems like he was prepared long before this happened. Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree that it seems like this was the planned response to come out with after the Democrats held their press conference. Now, I will say this. Whatever happens here, if Governor Abbott does try to remove these people from their seats and goes through the motions of replacing them, this story will blow up. Now, you might say, why would it blow up more than it will already? I just have a feeling, that's just my gut sense, is that there's a lot of people not really paying attention to the gerrymandering story right now who will pay attention to this story. So, look, maybe Texas Democrats might want this to happen. The Texas Democrats might be okay with this happening to get publicity. I don't know. So you never know. Hang on a second here. But I think it would be a huge story because people who weren't even following the story about the redrawing the lines, I think might have interest in having the people lose their seats. Also, I think it's a very important story. The redrawing, the redistricting. It can be kind of a hard story to grasp, and there's all these complex details. Whereas the story of governor replaces House members with his own people, that's something that's not as, there's complexities behind it, but the headline is easier to grasp. All right, so there you go. Governor Abbott saying he's going to. Now, my guess is that these Democratic members, are not going to all return. They're not going to read this and hop back on the plane and say, well, we got to get back now. I'd be shocked if that happened. So we might have a situation tomorrow in Texas where the governor declares dozens of Democratic members say they have vacated their seats and starts replacing them. Maybe we could see, this is really what we could see. We could see the governor declare the seats vacant, replace the seats with Republicans, and them actually go through a vote in the Texas House with a vote that passes thanks to the vote of the newly installed Republican members. Because the point of doing this would be to pass the legislation. So we actually could see this. There really could be a vote in Texas in the coming days where these newly seated legislators, Republican legislators put into those seats by Abbott in Democratic districts, vote for the redistricting. Think about that. That really could happen. I'm guessing we really might see a vote in the Texas House this week where they pass the Republican redistricting measure thanks to votes from newly installed Republican House members in Democratic districts. I mean, that's where I think this is going. That's where it looks like to me. And then maybe it gets all tied up in the court system where the vote gets challenged. And I don't, you know, the Democrats, you might say, well, would the Democrats not rush back? The Democrats might just figure, let them do it. Let them try and do it. It'll get us publicity. It'll become a national issue. Just imagine, I mean, I'm not telling you to take sides. I'm just saying that'll be a big deal. Now, he might not do it, but I mean, why else would he be? He said he's going to do it. He said in the letter, he says he is going to exercise his right to declare the seats vacant. I will invoke the opinion to remove the mixing Democrats from the House. And he says he has the power to swiftly fill the vacancies. That's what he says he's going to do. I don't think he's filling the seats with Democrats. Wow. Guys, could be a big week. Could be a big week in Texas state politics with national implications. I think it's going to happen. I think it might happen. It'll be a huge story. Huge. Huge story if it happens. Huge national story. I'm telling you. I'm telling you guys. I think it's flying under the radar right now. I think it could be a huge national story. Wow. Could happen tomorrow. I don't know how long it would take them to fill the seats. I wonder if Texas House Democrats are saying, I'm sure Texas State House Democrats will have statements out tonight about this. Although maybe they won't release a statement tonight. Maybe they will tomorrow. I don't know. I'm sure Democrats, the Texas state Democrats, are talking about how they want to respond to this. But again, Governor Abbott has now said that the Democrats who have fled today, the Texas House Democrats who have fled, he will replace them if they don't show up by 3 tomorrow. And he will declare their seats vacant and he will replace them. Replace them in their seats. Now, Allison said in the Texas Supreme Court in 2021, it ruled that they could not lose their seats for the same scenario. Now, maybe you're right. Now, I don't know if there are any differences there. I mean, I would think if it were the exact same situation, the exact same, would Governor Abbott be saying he's going to do this? Thank you, Allison. I'd have to look into it. I'm not aware of the Supreme Court ruling in 2021, state Supreme Court. I don't know. That's a good question. Allison, send me a link if you know something more about that ruling. Gary Baines said the map will still undergo a redistrict in the meantime. Could they do it and then think it's going to get challenged in court and then just assume that it'll take forever to get through the court system? That's another question. Hey, thanks to Allison Hargroves. I really appreciate it. And DB and Boise. Thank you, DB and Boise, for your support. I'm telling you guys, I think this is going to be a bigger story. I've been saying that during the stream. I've been telling you. I really think it's going to be a bigger story. This has national implications. By the way, I'm guessing President Trump's going to be weighing in on this too. I can't imagine, given that he requested the redistricting in the first place. My guess is that President Trump will weigh in on it, which I'm sure will make things even bigger. Thank you, Billy Cusack, for your report. I mean, at this point, the Texas governor has said he's going to remove Texas Democrats who are not in the state from their seats tomorrow. He said he's doing that. That's what he said he's doing. And I don't see any sign or any reason to think those Texas Democrats are coming back tomorrow. So we very well could see tomorrow the people, Abbott, saying those seats are vacated. Greg Abbott could remove dozens of Democrat House members from their seats tomorrow. In Democrat Texas House members. Now, Squid thinks his statement said it's because it's a special session. Now, as Squid says, it says when the governor calls a special session. I don't know if that's part of his reasoning. I mean, it sounds like it's part of the legal reasoning. But it is a special session, but I don't know if that means he couldn't use the same reasoning for a regular session. But it's a good reminder that seems like it's part of the reasoning there. Thanks, Squid. Big Mike says Democrats could use the same tactics. Hey, thanks so much to John Precor. Thank you, John. I appreciate your support. Also, Zana Santiago, Teixeira 22. And hey, also, let me shout out our moderators. Wow. What's going to happen tomorrow in Texas? What is going to happen the next couple of days? This really could happen. This would be such a huge story. If there's a vote in Texas and you literally see in the vote these Republican representatives who have been newly installed in these Democratic districts, so you basically removed these dozens of Democratic legislators You've said their seats are vacant, and you've literally replaced them with new people who are Republicans. And then you actually have the vote in the Texas House for the redistricting with those new people there. That's an enormous story. That video will be crazy video, whatever you think about this. What a video that'll be to see of that happening. And it really could happen. Wow. Nesbitsy says, what a timeline we are in. Big Mike says, that would be insane. Patrick thinks the Republicans would pay a big political price in that if that happened. I don't know. I also don't know that Greg Abbott would go through with it. I mean, it's one thing to say, well, the seats are vacated. It's another thing to say, okay, you 30 new Republicans, you go sit in those seats and you vote tomorrow or Tuesday or whatever it is. Yeah, it could be crazy. Serenity says, totally out of control. It'll be quite something if this happens. I'm going to have to keep an eye on what happens at 3 p.m. tomorrow. That's the deadline, 3 p.m. Texas time. Carter Davis says, can the Democrats stay away from their homes and families for 3 months? They talked about doing it during the press conference. They said that they have to stay away from their families, but they said they'll do what they need to do. Sounded like it was. Thanks, Carter, for writing in. Mrs. G said, hold the line, Dems. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. You know, it's late now. I mean, it's now 11:23 Eastern Time, 10:23 Central Time. My guess is that I don't know if you'll get a lot of big statements from, I'm sure you will get Texas House Democratic statements and probably national Democratic statements from national Democrat figures about Governor Abbott saying he's going to remove the Democratic state legislators and replace them. I don't know that you'll get those tonight. Oh, it depends on the time zone. But I mean, on the East Coast, it might be too late, and you might get a lot of them tomorrow. And I'll tell you what else is happening. Both Republicans and Democrats are talking about this becoming a national issue and how to play it nationally, because it could be. I mean, it is a national issue because it affects how many representatives are. It affects the election for the U.S. House. But this new move about the replacing the threat, Abbott saying he's going to declare these Democratic seats vacant and replace them. That's a new twist tonight. Winston Syme says Steve is wrong. Texas has no function to appoint a replacement representative. That's not how this works. The seats won't count until quorum and a new election will be triggered. Why are you saying I'm wrong? I didn't say anything about it. I just said this is what the governor said. Why are you saying Steve is wrong? The governor literally said, I will invoke, for any member who fails to be in attendance by 3 p.m. tomorrow, at 3 p.m. tomorrow, I will invoke this authority to remove them from their membership. And he said, this blah, blah, blah empowers me to swiftly fill vacancies. So don't blame me. Then blame Governor Abbott for being wrong. I'm not making a statement about what's possible. But that's what Governor Abbott says. Now, maybe you think that Governor Abbott can't do it and he will be stopped trying to do it. Well, that's different. But then don't blame me. I mean, Governor Abbott seems to think he can do it. That's what the letter says. Oh, guys, Governor Abbott has posted. Governor Abbott has posted. He has posted about this. Check it out. Well, this is on X. He said, it seems to me the only way some of the fleeing Democrats can avoid bribery charges is not to break quorum. So he is now threatening them with bribery charges if they don't show up. Because that's what he's saying. He also reposted somebody, Nick Sortor, who said, Abbott says he will remove from office any Democrat who abandons their duty and refuses to show up by 3 p.m. tomorrow. He's saying it's bribery because in his press release, he said, many absentee Democrats are soliciting funds to evade the fines they will incur under House rules for not attending the session to break quorum. Any Democrat who solicits, accepts, or agrees to accept such funds to assist in the violation of legislative duties or for purposes of skipping a vote may have violated bribery laws. By the way, we'll do a poll. We'll do a poll. I'm posting a link to Governor Abbott's press release, by the way, so you can. I've been showing it to you, but you can just look at it yourself. Oh, it's heating up. You know what I got to do? I forgot to do something here. Maybe I can do this on the fly. Can I do this on the fly? Maybe I can do something on the fly. Hold on. Hang on a moment here. I'm going to try doing something right now. Hang on a moment, guys. Give me 1 second here. I am going to try to do something right now. Let's see here. If I do this, and I do this, and I do, where is it here? That. Okay, there's this. Is this going to work? Let's see. Okay, YouTube viewers. I was thinking, YouTube members. I was thinking as we talk about this, wow, this is getting spicy. That was my thought, is how spicy this was getting. But you guys, you YouTube members, you may have a new way to express the spiciness yourself. You may have a new way of commenting on this in the chat. I don't know if anybody can figure out what I'm talking about. I'm trying to do it for Twitch subscribers too. Maybe it didn't work yet. Let's try this one more time. Ooh. Hold on a second here. Let's see if I can do it over here. I guess it hasn't worked yet on YouTube. I thought it was going to work. Let's try it on Twitch as well. Let's see. Okay. Try to maybe Twitch subscribers look as well. Oh, it worked. There it is. Hey guys, thanks to Sonic, it worked. Look at that. Look at our new emote. Look at our new emote and emoji for the Twitch subscribers and the YouTube members. Twitch, you got it too or not? It's working on YouTube, I'll tell you that. I can see it. It's exciting. Thanks to Sonic. Sonic made it. Hey, did it work on Twitch yet? Hasn't gone through? Give it a second, Twitch. The Twitch subscribers are checking. I see it there. I certainly see it there on Twitch. Twitch, it's working. LCS Fox got it. All right, good. We did it. I forgot. You know, one of the viewers requested a spicy emote. I said, that's a great idea. I got to talk to Sonic about it. And then he sent it to me and I forgot. Okay. Anyways. That's what we do for our subscribers and members. I can't do it on Facebook. They don't let that. I don't think Facebook gives me the ability to do custom emotes for subscribers, unfortunately. So much going on. Oh, Black Irish mentioned that Kyle Cheney with Politico says that the Paxton opinion that Governor Abbott cites doesn't actually say that lawmakers who break quorum are removable. In fact, it says this is a fact-specific question only resolvable by a court. The opinion also does say the opinion also does not say it's unconstitutional to break quorum. So, again, Governor Abbott says he's going to remove Democratic legislators, these Democratic House members who fled this state today. He's going to remove them from their seats if they don't show up at 3 p.m. tomorrow. But Kyle Cheney is saying that the opinion that Abbott cites doesn't actually say he can remove them without a court weighing in. But the thing is, maybe he'll try to do it anyway and let the courts decide. I don't know. So fair enough point by Kyle Cheney. But I don't know if that'll affect what he tries to do. Mario says Democrats have a plan. All right. Here's our poll question. Our poll question is, will Abbott remove the Democrats who have fled tomorrow? Okay? That's what we're doing. Will Abbott remove the Democrats who have fled tomorrow? That's the question. Like he said he's going to. I am posting this. I just posted it on YouTube. I'm posting it on Twitch right now. I will post it on Facebook now, and we'll see what you guys have to say. Hang on a moment. Leslie Harris thinks he'll get a court to rule on it. That's what our viewer Leslie Harris says. Hang on, I got to post this on... on Twitch, what is the poll? You know what? I'm sorry. On Twitch, the poll has got to be set up to be longer. I'm sorry about that. It's somehow got the setting on the polls on Twitch got shorter, so I got to change the time. All right, I'll show you in a second what everybody said. Okay, so I said to you guys, will Abbott actually, as he says he's going to do, to vacate the seats, remove the Democrats from their seats who have fled Texas to prevent them from voting on the redistricting? 68% say yes, he will do that tomorrow. 32% say no on YouTube. On Twitch, hang on a second. Facebook, the result is 60% yes, 40% no. And on Twitch, just so I can show you, I got to make the poll on Twitch longer next time. 54% yes on Twitch, 46% no. Can I get this on the screen for you? 54% on Twitch say yes, 46% say no. Frank Benlin says, no rules, no laws, no consequences, go wild. All right. Thanks for voting in our poll. Quite something with this story tonight. Wow. It's really developing. So the Texas Democrats reposted someone who said AG opinions have no force or effect of law. So again, I don't think the Texas Democrats are rushing back to the state to be there tomorrow. See, ABC News picked up on Abbott's statement. ABC News says that Governor Abbott is saying the House Democrats who fled the state must return by 3 p.m. tomorrow or risk losing their jobs. Yeah, we might come on tomorrow to cover this. Certainly, that's very possible. Big developments, guys. Big developments tonight. Thanks to Sagging Zebra 2 for being a member. Seize the Day, thank you. Conspiracy Town, thank you. Who thinks the politicians are making fools of us? Thank you, Lizzie and Jameson 2012. Who thinks that the Texas Supreme Court was not asked about removal? I don't know either way. Thank you, Hermit Ersatz, who thinks this courageous moment in history begins our new epoch. Thank you, Hermit Ersatz, for your support. I really appreciate that. Set to Chill says, I think Abbott will do it because President Trump will want it as a distraction. You know, Romeo Void says they'll lose the job if the map is changed. The map that's getting changed is not the map for the state congressional districts. The map is for the U.S. congressional districts. It's for the districts. It's for the districts that the U.S. House representatives come from. It's not redrawing the map that the state representatives are of the districts that they are choose from. I know that's confusing. It's quite confusing. But the maps that are withdrawn would be the maps for the U.S. House. And to prove that, I can tell you, clearly, because they're not the same maps, because there are over 150, I believe, representatives in the Texas State House. So there would be 160 districts or whatever. But there are only, I think, 38 U.S. House members from Texas. So I'm assuming that they're just, again, I haven't heard anything about the state map being changed at all. The state, for the state representatives. Secta Chill thinks America is winning so much now it might disappear. All right. Leslie Harris thinks they will come back, the Democrats, before 3 p.m. That'd be a big about face for that. Rita Evans Lang says, I think Abbott will try to remove those representatives. I mean, he said he's going to. He literally said he's going to in his statement. Paula Thompson says, the people who voted those representatives in probably won't be very happy. Their jobs or just this vote, says LT. It says he said he could declare the seats vacant and fill the vacancies. He said that he will declare to remove them from the membership in the Texas House, which doesn't sound like just for a vote. That sounds like permanently. Sorry, Brian said the poll wasn't up there for that long on Facebook. I guess that might have been a Facebook issue because I put it up there for several minutes. But sometimes Facebook's weird with the polls. Albert says there are 150 state house districts in Texas. All right, we're going to have to see what happens. We're going to have to see what happens there. This seems like a big deal. Thank you, 32 Antoine, who quoted the Texas Constitution, Article 3, Section 13. The state's constitution requires the governor to call for an election between 20 days of a vacancy. So he thinks Abbott can't do that. I am not an expert on Abbott on Texas state law, so I'm not going to start opining on that. Clearly, the governor of Texas feels he has the legal right to replace these people tomorrow if they don't show up, to declare their seats vacated and replace them quickly. That's what he thinks. Whether that's the case, I don't know. I am not an expert on Texas law. 32 Antoine thinks that he cannot. Maybe you're right, 32 Antoine. Thank you for your support, by the way. I really appreciate that. So let me just sum up what's happening. Let's see if I can sum this up quickly. President Trump had requested that in Texas they redraw the maps, the state congressional maps. The maps, these are what the maps look like. This is this Washington Post in Texas. Oh, sorry. This is this Washington Post graphic from an article I showed you before. Oops, why is that still on there? There, get rid of this. So the state has these maps where it shows where each of the congressional representatives is from a certain district. You have to win a district to become a member of the U.S. House from that state. So there's 38 districts, okay? And it's up to the state. In Texas, the state legislature draws the districts. So the state, President Trump had requested that the state redraw its map so that it would be friendlier to Republicans. So that's what the state legislature is planning on doing this week. They're going to redraw the map so that a map which had yielded 25 Republicans and 13 Democrats in the U.S. House from Texas in 2024. If the map changes, the projection is that there would be 30 Republicans, because they'll just adjust where the different districts are, basically. And it'll work out that there's 30 Republicans out of the 38 that get elected rather than 25. So this is being done. Usually states that do this kind of thing, they do it every decade. They redistrict every decade after the census. But this is a rare case where a state would be doing it in the middle of the decade. Not common. Democrats in House Democrats in Texas do not want to go along with this. They feel like it's rigging the election, and a number of them left the state today so that there would not be the required number of legislators there in the Texas State Legislature, in the Texas State House, to have a vote on this. They wouldn't have a quorum. So dozens of legislators left and went to other states. And they say, we're not coming back for the moment because we don't want them to, this is just a travesty, and we're not going to allow them to vote on this. So tonight what's happened is Governor Abbott has said that he believes he has the legal authority, if they are not back by 3 p.m. tomorrow, that he can declare that they are removed from their seat in the House, and he can quickly replace them. That's what he said he's going to do. He said he's going to declare their seat vacant, and then he's going to replace them. He said he can replace them quickly. So, but he said tomorrow at 3 p.m., if they're not there, he's going to declare that they're no longer in the House anymore. And to me, what that suggests that he might do is just have the vote with replacement legislators. So say all these Democrats who aren't there, you're not here, you're out of the Texas House, and I'm going to replace you. And, I guess what he could do, another thing, he doesn't have to replace them. Well, he could replace them with Republicans who vote for the redistricting. Or he could just replace them with other Democrats, right? Because the point is he has enough votes to pass redistricting. He just needs to be there to be enough people there. I have to think that there's not a lot of Democrats who would want to accept that replacement. Although maybe they don't need to accept it. Maybe Abbott could say, I appoint these 30 Democrats to be the new representatives. But then they actually have to show up. Whoever he appoints would have to show up. So my guess is that maybe he would appoint Republicans, because if he appoints Democrats, I guess a lot of them might not want to show up, and just to allow this to happen. So what very well might happen, it seems to me, is he might say these seats are vacated. He appoints Republicans to those seats from Democratic districts. Then they actually have the vote, and they do pass the redistricting. And then there's all these lawsuits about the vote that just happened. I certainly could see that possibly happening. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I could see it happening. So that's my brief summary. But he did say, he explicitly said in his statement tonight that he is going to have them removed. For any member who fails to show up by 3 p.m. tomorrow, I will invoke my authority to remove the missing Democrats from membership in the Texas House. That's what he says he's going to do. And he says he has the power to swiftly fill their vacancies. Okay. BB12 says Texas Supreme Court should rule on it. I don't think that they could rule on something until there's an actual lawsuit filed by an aggrieved party. I think something would have to happen and somebody would have to sue over it. And then I don't even know if it would be a federal lawsuit or a state lawsuit, to be honest. Maybe you'll have both. Start in 5 says, I guess we will find out soon what happens. Left-handed thinks he's allowed to do it. Again, I know nothing about Texas law, so I don't know what will happen if he tries to do this and how that will all play out legally. Brian says, I could see a big lawsuit coming for Texas. No, I'm not going to start trying to read the part of the Constitution he cited, because I don't know how to interpret different terms in it. I'm not going to start trying to do amateur legal analysis when I have no background in it. I'll wait and see what some experts say who actually know about that to weigh in. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Christie says, if the roles were reversed and Democrats did this to the Republicans, how everyone would be reacting right now? How would everybody be reacting right now? Lori Nance says, this is getting interesting. LT says, permanent removal sounds pretty drastic. I'm sure the legal experts will be weighing in. Lizzie says 3 p.m. tomorrow is going to be interesting. So if I find out that this might happen tomorrow at 3 p.m., maybe it will. Maybe we'll come on and do coverage about it beforehand. 3 p.m. Texas time. But it's getting late now. It's almost midnight here. I think the best move might be to start wrapping up this stream right now. And we've been on for a while tonight. I thought this was going to be a shorter stream. I'm perfectly fine. I'm happy to cover more news. I think it's really interesting, the news that's been coming out. But I think at this point, probably a better thing is to get some sleep and to get ready to cover more stuff tomorrow. That's what I think. So let's do that. But again, it's very possible that we'll do another stream on this tomorrow. I certainly think if he's going to remove them tomorrow, then we would cover it. So I really appreciate you guys joining us for this live stream tonight. Things seem to be blowing up there a little bit in Texas, getting really, who knows what's going to happen. So thank you for joining. I will post updates on my X account tonight if I see stuff while I'm up. Excuse me. My X account is @Lookner on X. That's what it looks like there. You can follow me there for breaking news when I'm not live here. But I'll put the link in the chat. But subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news here without an agenda. Agenda Free TV. So subscribe, follow, and turn on the notifications. I never know when big news is going to happen. I can't tell you in advance our schedule, but you can get notified for free whenever we go live because we have a free notification system. You sign up one time, then you get sent a notification whenever we go live. It works awesome. So sign up for our notifications. The mods will post the link in the chat to the free notifications. Also, you can find it in the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook. Okay? So sign up for those. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it's kind of a complex topic. Not that easy to grasp, so I appreciate people tuning in for it, but it's really interesting. I think this, I keep saying it, it's going to be a bigger story tomorrow. You just watch. That's my prediction. It's going to be a big national story, especially if he removes the legislators. Oh, one thing I didn't mention in my brief summary, but I mentioned a lot earlier, is that other states like California has said, well, if Texas does this, we're going to do something too. And it's unclear if they can do it by 2026 or they can legally do it. But other states might start jumping in and start adjusting their maps before the election if Texas does it, which is a whole other thing. I really appreciate you guys writing in. Thanks for letting me share your comments on the air. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's comment, but I read a bunch of them, and I really appreciate people writing in with your comments and your messages and your questions. And huge thanks to our moderators for being here. Thanks so much, mods. People like over there on YouTube, Sabrina has been over there. And I've been thanking people earlier. And all of our other YouTube mods. And, we couldn't have our chat rooms without our mods. They're the ones that make it possible. They keep things civil and under control there. People like Paul Anderson over on Facebook, Kay Lowry Body, Shannon Davis Hughes, Valerie Gale Griffin, Margaret Riley. Huge thanks. Let me do this real quick. And Linda Belg, Larry, Misha on X, mod for us over there. Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai 3, Sarah and Surly Dev, all of our other Twitch mods, thank you. I owe some more thank yous to other people, by the way, which I'll give in a second. Thank you, Twitch mods, and all of our other mods, thank you. I just posted the link for the link just posted, I know, in YouTube and maybe the other platforms as well, for the free notifications. And the same link for the free notifications, we also have an Agenda Free TV, a chat when we're not on the air on Discord. It's free. Check it out. A bunch of our mods like doing that. It's the same link as the notifications link. You can check out the chat. So check that out. Thanks to our Discord mods as well. Thanks so much to you. And thanks to all of everybody who donated. That's so nice of you. I owe some more thank yous to people. You are the ones who make this channel possible with your support. I really, really appreciate it. Really generous of you. So nice of you. I owe over on Twitch, Big Dog Gaming, I owe a thank you. Edu Makashun, thank you. CC143, Faith Takes You Far. Nico Jita, I'm a Peaky Blinder. Bezig, thanks for subscribing. Susan CHF, Douthis, thank you for subscribing for a year now, Douthis. Thank you. And TelBTX, who said the legislators self-deported. Why do we want them to come back? Thanks for your support. Also, Michael Toshi, I owe to thank you to, I think, and Artful Nothing. And Young Gunna. Oh, I think I got behind on the thanking the Twitch people. I'm sorry. We had that Abbott news. I got behind and everything. J-Tide on Twitch, thank you. Also, I owe a couple thank yous over there on YouTube. Teshera22, Mika, our member, Ed Harris, our member, Allison Hargroves, thank you for all your support. Everybody else who supported on YouTube and Facebook as well. Hang on a minute here. I bet I missed some people. Margaret Riley, thanks for the Facebook stars. Susan Priest Buchner, Kristen McConnell Gates, thank you. If you ever want to donate, you go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. I have to imagine, I mean, who knows what will happen news-wise, but if it's looking like that Abbott's going to remove the people from their office at 3 p.m. Texas time, I have to imagine we'll be on the air to cover that. So that I don't want to say 100% because you never know what else is going to happen, but my guess is that we might be on the air covering that tomorrow. Okay. Oh, Jameson, 2012, who says, a Texas attorney here in Phelan, Texas. Supreme Court 2021. I'm not familiar with that. If there was a ruling then. I don't know. I'll have to read up on it. Thank you, Jameson, 2012. Okay. Hey, also another good way to find out when we're going live is to follow us on X. Our X account is @AgendaFreeTV. I post there when we go live. I post updates about the channel. Follow us over there @AgendaFreeTV. Good way to find out when we're live. Also, I feel, by the way, that if I had the rights to the Pink Panthers song Illegal, I would play it now, but I don't have the rights to it. Might be an appropriate song to play talking about this, because people are all saying, is this legal, in the chat. Okay, also, for those who watch on YouTube, I would suggest turning on the YouTube notifications. That's a great way to find out when we're live. But it's kind of confusing how to do it a little bit. So if you want to turn on the YouTube notifications, you got to subscribe to the channel. Then after you subscribe to the channel, you need to click this bell and choose all notifications. So subscribe, click the bell, and choose all notifications. Okay, now I will let the chat attorneys argue amongst themselves about the legality or illegality of all this. Hey, let's say thank you to our Facebook subscribers. Thanks so much, Facebook subscribers. I'm sorry, I should have thanked you before. I'm sorry. Rita Evans Lang, LT, Margaret Riley, K. Lowry Body, Robert Rial II. I should have thanked him before. My bad. Next time. Did I say Rita Evans Lang, Sharon Klassen Goslin, Susan Priest Buchner, and all of our other Facebook subscribers? Thanks for supporting the channel. Hey, our Twitch subscribers too. Speaking of subscribers, Twitch subscribers and YouTube members, remember we got a new emote for you tonight. You got a new emote or emoji on YouTube. Nico Gita, thanks for subscribing. Holistic, Device X, Jax Animals, Artful Nothing. Thanks to Sonic for the emote, by the way, for doing the emote. And CC143, Neo Geo Zach. Your mom's, I'll say. I'm a Peaky Blinder, thanks for subscribing. Eloso. And what else here? Jax Animals, Matthew Kohai 3, Susan CH4FO4, Neo Geo Zach. I think I said that already. Thanks. EC, thanks for subscribing on Twitch. Matthew Kohai 3, Artful Nothing, Edu Makashun, Bezig, Douthis, all of our other subscribers over there, and our YouTube members like I Am Just Shannon, Wicked Code, Deborah, Raven Knight, Sagging Zebra, CAC813, Sean C. Thanks for being members so much. Posiwi and Leo, Sloppy Joe, Real Sportsman, David Gray, AJ Krause, Wicked Code, Fun Guy, Evelyn in Maine, Lizzie. This story really feel like it's been going under the radar for how important it is. You'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Waltham, thanks for being a member. Chaz Martin. There's that new emoji there. It looks good, actually. It looks really good. Sean T. 2-Bit Drifter. Raven Knight, thanks for being members. Teresa Happy Turtle. JD63, UV Lightning, CAC. Allison Hargroves. Rizzo. Evelyn in Maine. Kenneth Colton. Good to see you, Kenneth. Happy Turtle. Lisa Seckler. Moragai NE. Wicked Code. Bluesy Girl. Rita, Phil's Mod Squad, Unconditional Surrender, Brian Beelman, LGTV, Ed Harris, our new member Hermit Ersatz, thank you, Fun Guy, Nad5K says, can this start a civil war? I think we're a little away from that, but I mean, who knows where it's going? I don't know. I think it's a big deal. I think it's already a big deal. Dale Brigham, thanks for watching. And thanks to everybody for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'm glad we could do this stream. Big Jointer, thanks for watching. Sarah Smile, and all of our other viewers. Brian Shy and others. Brian Edward Brumfield. Okay, that is it, guys. So tomorrow will Governor Abbott do what he said he's going to do, which is, looking at his own words tonight, for any member who fails to be in attendance at 3 p.m. tomorrow, he will invoke the Texas Attorney General opinion that allows him to remove the missing Democrats from members in the House, from their membership in the Texas House. He says he's going to remove them from the House, and then he says he is empowered to swiftly fill the vacancies himself. Will he remove these Texas state lawmakers who have fled the state to prevent a vote on Republican redistricting of the U.S. House seats in Texas? Wow, we'll have to see. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I have enjoyed talking about this with you during the stream. That is it for now. Thanks for watching, and we will see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.